Thanks for listening to episode 42 of the Unlockable podcast. Hannah and I have compiled 5 games each that we've started playing for a few hours and completely dropped for one reason or another, and we're going to talk about those games and what our reasons were for doing so. Not much to say other than please give us a nice fat thumbs up on YouTube or a 5 stars on your podcast app of choice. Maybe even leave a review. That would be incredible. Anyways, let's do it. Welcome back to the Unlockable podcast. I'm Christian. Joining me as always is the Game Girl Advanced SP herself.
That's me.
I'm going to throw you a fun little piece of information to kick this episode off, Hannah. You ready?
Ooh, yeah, I'm ready.
So I'm doing some research recently, and I was on Reddit, and I found out that there is a very up-to-date list of Nintendo Switch games that exist, like physical copies that have ever been released since 2017.
That has to be in the thousands, right? It feels like it's in the thousands.
Right, you're 100% right. So the US, there are 1,500 games.
Whoa!
More than that already.
Oh my lord.
And
holy crap.
I guess worldwide, worldwide different unique titles that have released is 2,700.
Oh my goodness. You know, when the Switch first came out, there was like 3 launch titles, whatever, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be possibly another Wii U situation. I'm going to buy every Switch game. I'm so glad I didn't start that.
But there are so many people that have started that and have not stopped.
Ugh. Dude, good luck with that one. That has to be the largest library of a Nintendo console yet, right?
Believe it or not, the DS still has it beat. I think it's like over 2,000.
Oh my... Well, okay, it's close.
Yeah, and it's not over yet, so I'm sure it's very possible.
And that's not obviously counting all the digital titles. I mean, do you think there's a record of how many digital titles there are? I'm sure Nintendo has that on the back end, but like, do people know that?
I can't imagine people know that, but who knows? You know, the internet exists and people are doing crazy things like what I just described, so it's very possible.
Wow. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And to tell you the truth, I don't know if this even includes the limited print stuff. It probably does.
Oh, like variants and stuff?
No, like LRG and super rare games, but actually it definitely does include that stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, that's going to add a ton more, too.
No, they're included. I remember. I looked into this already. But yeah, super cool that this list exists. It was last updated at the end of August, so maybe they update it every month. I don't know.
Good God. You know what? Shout out to whoever's doing that. Shout out to you, dude.
There's no way it's one dude. Shout out to all the dudes.
Dudes and dudettes, thank you for your service. I salute you.
So there's like a column for each region, and so there's US, there's Korea, and Japan, Europe, CHT, which is China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, Australia/New Zealand, and then Southeast Asia.
Oh, wow. So it's worldwide. It's global. It's gone global.
But that's enough of that. Our topic today is going to be games that we started but did not finish. And Hannah, I picked 5 good ones. How about you?
I picked 5 mediocre ones. You know how I like to do it.
That was a dumb question. I'm pretty happy with the ones I got. I think that I can kind of describe the game pretty well and what has caused me to stop playing these games. But I know that everyone out there is... You know, nobody's perfect. Nobody plays 100% of games that they... Nobody finishes 100% of games that they play. Even if you are... I don't know. You would have to show me some serious proof and evidence to convince me otherwise. But,
right.
I mean, as a collector, it is a totally different scenario than as, like, a normal human being that just, like, buys games that they actually want to play.
Right, a normie.
But, right, like... I don't know. We'll get into it. We got a lot to talk about today, Do you have anything you want to say before we get into it?
No, just don't judge me for some of these. I'm sure it's gonna ruffle some feathers.
Well, why don't you handle these little discussion points since you came up with them? You can kind of lead the way on those.
Sure. So the first thing I have is why people stop playing games in general. So these aren't like specific things. These aren't like mechanics or any specific call-outs. Just like some of the reasons that I have found while doing research on games. I know my reasons. None of them are in here. Nothing specific. But lots of people stop playing games. So some of the reasons are, people just don't like the game. For whatever reason, it just doesn't interest them. They just couldn't get into it. Another reason... That's a big
the
one.
Obvious and upfront one right there, yeah.
Right. And then there's other ones like people are trying to boycott whatever publisher, creator, developer, blah, 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 company has done. They're like, I'm not playing this game. I'm not doing microtransactions or blah, 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 because I don't want to support them, which we support here. That's awesome. Also, the game is just bad. It's unplayable, bad mechanics, glitchy, broken. Not what the developer promised, They set out to make this game, and it just didn't live up to it, and people were like, I don't want to support that.
Yep, those are good ones.
Another one is sometimes when you put a game down for so long, could be like a week, could be like a month or whatever, and you just had to pick it back up, you're like, I have totally forgotten everything about the mechanics, about the gameplay, about the story, and it's just like, it didn't interest me that much to go back and do it again,
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that.
Also, people just don't want to get invested in such a long game. Some people just don't have the time. They have kids, other hobbies, and they're just like, why waste my time on this? I'd rather do something else.
I can see that. Yeah.
Another one is like another bigger, more important game comes out, so they're playing this game probably just to kill time or whatever, and then they're like, oh, the next AAA title's coming out, so I'm just going to put this one down, and then they just never pick it back up again.
Yeah, that's kind of the big one I want to dive into a little bit more. There's just so many games to play these days, and they're just more easily accessible than ever. You have things like Game Pass. You have Steam sales going on sale like every other week. And it's just crazy. Like, even being a collector, I play the heck out of digital games. I have a subscription to more games, like as if I need that.
Right.
And it's just so easy, and it's crazy. It's very accessible in 2023.
Yeah, there's more games available out there than ever before. And also the backlog just keeps getting longer. So.
Non-stop backlog.
Another reason is people just get tired of it. Either the gameplay just isn't diverse enough and it gets really repetitive, and they're like, yeah, I don't see why I'd want to play this game.
Fair.
And then either too easy, too hard, people get frustrated, they stop, or it's too easy, it's like, why would I even play this at all? I'd rather have something challenging, it's boring. And then, I guess, this one is just a me thing, but I figured I'd put it down anyway. It is not the reason why I stopped playing any of these games on the list, but it is something that I do very frequently, as well as like with movies, TV shows, or anime, is I will intentionally, if the story is like or the gameplay is like super story driven, I will absolutely stop playing a game right up into like the final boss fight or like 2 hours before the end of the story, because I don't want it to end. It's like a psychology thing. I don't know if you've ever done that. I might sound like a fucking psycho, but like I will stop playing it so that those characters can exist in that story for longer.
I kind of love that about you. I think that is it's not a completely unique thing. I'm sure there are other weirdos out there, but I am not one of them.
Yeah, so this is more for like RPGs or like anything that's super story driven. I wouldn't say the same for like, I don't know, like Super Mario 64, any of those. The story's not like super enthralling, but like RPGs, I love the characters so much, and I know that the story's either going to end like a, not a happy ending, but not like a sad ending, but it will be an ending. And I don't want to experience that yet.
Yeah.
So, that's just me, I guess. Maybe. But hopefully someone out there is like, yes, I do that exact same thing. You're not alone. So yeah, that's most of the generic ones that I have. But I'm sure there's tons more.
people, like you said with the AAA titles thing, people become obsessed with just trying to play the newest games right when they release. And I think part of it is like they want to be with the in crowd, so to speak. Like they want to be there right with all of the hype. They want to be watching the YouTube videos and playing the game side by side with everybody else in the world. And I think that's just like an addicting thing that people have really have like drawn onto. But on the other side of the coin, you have like, you just want to play the newest game right when it releases because you have to beat it, because oh my gosh, Zelda's out, but this is like 500 hours and I still have to get to Final Fantasy 16,
right?
And then Pikmin 4 is about to come out, and then Starfield, and you're like, oh, it becomes a chore, I feel like, for a lot of people.
I definitely think you're right. I mean, Zelda's obviously a big release for me, so I'm going to play it day one anyway. But, like, if I were behind on that and something spoiled something in the story or something that was really cool, like, spoiled anything about gameplay or story, whatever, I would be, like, crushed. Absolutely devastated.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I didn't even think about that.
That is the main reason why I have to play things that I'm excited to play as soon as they come out. Unless, of course, it releases digitally, and then I'm waiting for a physical copy, and then my brain says, wait, you have to wait for the physical copy. You can't be a traitor and do it digitally.
For people that struggle with this, honestly, I keep so many lists in life, and I have a been playing list on my phone, and it just helps me keep track of like what I've started and what I intend to finish. And like, once something's been on that list for like 3 months and I haven't played it, I'm like, okay, let me move that to this other list I have called the backlog. I am obsessed with lists, and honestly, I think it helps. I think a lot of y'all should try keeping a list of games, because that was a huge issue when I started collecting. It was like I was getting games in the mail, 3-4 games a week at a time, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this just to test it out. But then I find out that it's a great game and I want to keep playing it. And then a week goes by and I get all these new games and I try these out, and it's like, oh, I completely forgot. Like 6 months later, I forgot I was playing that game over there. What happened? So I think lists are important.
I think if it's a system that works for you, then keep up with it. I start lists and then I never finish the list, and then the lists are useless. like I have Game Eye. You and I both have Game Eye, I think, where I'm tracking all of like our games, like the games that I buy and stuff, and I stopped updating that like 3 years ago, so it's not even accurate at this point. But yeah, I definitely think a lot of people kind of fall into that, I don't know, category of just forgetting. Like, I'm sure I have forgotten games that I've picked up and didn't even finish, and I've totally forgotten about them. Like, they're just sitting in a box downstairs in my parents' house collecting dust. And I'm none the wiser.
Another point is, like, using Zelda as an example, it's incredibly easy to get lost exploring a game for, like, hundreds of hours, and then you just completely forget about ever going to fight Ganon. And then, you may not have finished the game, so to speak. You didn't roll the credits, but you put so many hours into it and probably know more about it than half the people who beat the game, that it's like, you may not have finished the game, but you still played the heck out of it. I just think that's another point people could drop a game.
Oh yeah, definitely. You feel satisfied with it. You're like, yeah, I did my exploring. I'm good. I don't need to see credits to feel accomplished.
And the last thing I was going to say is, like you said, a game can be too hard. Getting stuck on a hard boss. This hasn't really happened to me, but well, actually it has, now that I think about it. No, oh my gosh. As a kid, for sure. No, that sounds wrong too. It sounds like I'm trying to gloat here. No, I've definitely gotten stuck on a hard boss, dropped the game, and like not come back to it ever. That's for sure a reason.
Yeah, definitely. I have some of those on this list, actually.
All right, what's our next section?
So the next one I did was just the first game I ever remember finishing. Like, not 100% completing, but just the first one I remember beating. And that, for me, is actually coincidentally also the first game I 100% completed, Super Mario 64. So I think we talked about this in the first podcast we ever did, our only one under an hour, is I just remember my brother, my dad, and I sitting in our loft up here playing the Nintendo 64, beating, we called it Browser at the time because I don't think I could say Bowser, because I was real little, right? I was born in 97, so I must have been 2, 3, maybe 4 years old. And I just remember sitting, watching my dad and brother beat Bowser through all the stages. Like, I remember it so clearly despite how young I was. And that's, like, one of my fondest memories, which we talked about. But then, when I was, like, 15 or 16, I was bored one day at our lake house. And I just sat down one weekend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna complete all the stars. And then I was fucking gobsmacked when Yoshi showed up. Because I had no idea. This was, like, long before I started collecting games. It could have been younger than that. I might have been, like, 14. So before I could, like, drive and actually, like, collect games and stuff. But I was just like, oh my god, Yoshi's here. This is crazy. I was, like, experiencing that 20 years later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how well these games hold up. But, yeah, I've never actually gotten to 120 stars in that game.
Wow.
Tried to do it a lot, but... yeah.
Dude, can you call yourself a gamer? What the heck?
Probably not.
No, it's exciting because I've talked about that. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And so I didn't even realize that there was a point you could reach where you could, like, beat the game. Like, actually 100% complete the game. So I was just like, yeah, let's just do it. And then Yoshi showed up.
Yeah. I think I've 100%ed 2 games in my life. It's just not something I'm a big... I don't know. Because there's so many things I want to play, I don't do it often.
Right.
But Super Mario World is probably the first.
Of course.
Like, that's probably the first game I finished and the first game I 100%ed. It's either that or, like, Street Fighter 2. Those were, like, 2 of my first games ever. But the other game I 100%ed would be more recently freaking Overcooked 1.
Oh.
Yes,
sir.
I freaking love Overcooked. And that game, unlike the second one, you know, it's possible to 100%. The second game takes a lot of hours.
Really? It's that much different?
But it's just way shorter. And there's no DLCs or anything. It's just a way shorter game. But right. Yeah, I got 100% on that one. Love that game so much.
I also love that game. You did it co-op with other people, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can beat that game. Just one person. Right?
I don't think I would want to beat that game, just one person.
Dude, I think I'd pull my hair out. Absolutely not. Oh, I love those games. Let's see. The other ones I 100% completed is one I talk about all the time, and I'm going to bring it up every time, is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. 100% completed that one. Found all the Koroks, all the quests, all the everythings. Took me 500 hours, and I'll brag about it every day.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Wow.
I know. That's the first and the only Pokemon game where I've ever completed the Pokedex.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get Mew in that game? Was it like an event, or how would you get Mew?
When you bought the Pokemon with the collector's edition thingy with the little Pokeball, the controller, I believe Mew was stashed in there.
Oh wow.
I could be wrong. I know there's a Pokemon in there and it's the only way to get it. I'm pretty sure it's Mew. I don't know. Someone fact check that. I'm pretty sure that's right though. But yeah. So, the next thing I wanted to debate with you is, what do you constitute as finished? How do you know you've finished a game?
This is an interesting one. I'm glad you brought it up. I think for like 95% of games, the answer is going to be when credits roll, the game is finished.
Mm-hmm.
But for that other 5%, I will have to say it depends, because there are certainly times where it's got to be left up to the person to decide what counts.
Right.
And I have some examples, but I'll let you go.
So what I did some research on it. The general consensus is when you finished beating the main story, right? So that means completing the beginning of the story all the way to the end, whatever that may be. But then other people say, well, it's rolling credits, and sometimes that is synonymous when you beat the main story, right? Like in Zelda, you beat Ganon, you beat the main story, and bam, roll credits, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sure there are times when that is not a thing. And then it brings into debate, like, what about DLC? Like, what about if it adds that kind of story, extra story? What do you do if the game doesn't have credits or the game doesn't have a story? So there's a lot of ifs. I guess it just depends, like you said, on the person. They can make their own call. But I thought it was worth noting.
The examples I have are like Ghosts and Goblins on NES is this crazy difficult platformer. And once you finally beat that insane game, or let me reword that, once you finally beat the final boss on that insane game, it takes you right back to level 1, and you have to beat the entire game again in order to technically beat the game.
No. I hate that.
I 100%. When I play that game, I will be playing through it one time and considering it beaten.
That's awesome.
So that's that 5% category I'm talking about.
Does the game get harder, or is it just the whole game again?
I would have to check, but I'm pretty sure it's just the same copy and paste, repeat the whole game again.
Oh, hell yeah. Developer was like, suck on this. Do it again. Oh, that's great.
So another example, sometimes I think about Monster Hunter Rise and how we played to the credits in that game and considered it done. But according to everyone I've talked to, there's still like 50% to 75% of that game left to beat.
No!
So I don't know. I'm considering it beaten because I got the credits, but it's like, oh, there's still 50% of the game left. Does that count? I don't know.
No way. We beat the big... God, what was his name? Megalosaurus. Megalomalus. You know, the big blue guy.
If that is 50, if that is half of his name, good job. I'll pat you on the back for that. I don't remember anything about that game.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure that's his name because I have the amiibo. Magnum and Malus.
Oh.
Something like that. Dude, no way. We beat that game. We rolled credits. We got that last final boss. Bam. Done. No more.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that is probably one of those games that I might have put down. Had we not beaten it together, I probably would have put that down and never looked at it again.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm counting that as a win.
Yeah, and then we would have been talking about it on this podcast, for sure.
Exactly.
What else?
Also, this isn't for me, but, like, some people, like, live and die by, like, the rewards and achievements and stuff, but, like, is it getting a trophy? Is that when you know you've won? When you've beaten something? Is when you get a trophy or an achievement.
Yeah, that argument could certainly be made.
Because I'm definitely ignorant on this fact, but is it the developers who make said trophies? Or am I crazy?
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, does that count? But everyone doesn't get a trophy. You know, it's different.
That's probably a more accurate way to decide because it's literally the developer, the person who made the game saying, hey, this is when you beat the game. So keep playing until you get here.
I mean, could be, except for not everyone has a trophy, so it's loose.
That's true. Different, if it comes out on Switch and then it's not going to have that achievement, so that doesn't work if it's a cross-platform game.
Yeah. So, again, it's just kind of up in the air. But I wanted to play a fun game, so we're going to play What Constitutes as Finished in these games.
Woo!
So, Fortnite. Is there an ending? Does it end? Will you ever roll those credits?
So, like, when Fortnite came out, I know you're just looking for a yes or no. When Fortnite came out, there was, like, this... It wasn't this Battle Royale thing, I don't think. I'm pretty sure what they wanted to focus on was, like, this survival mode, or, like... I always see it on the homepage, and it's, like, it wants me to pay for it or some crap. I haven't played in, like, 3 years, but... I remember there was, like, a single-player, like, campaign type of thing or something. So, maybe there's a way to roll credits. My quick answer is no, you can't beat that game.
Okay. I think that's also... Especially for what it's evolved into... No. Well,
Right.
Although, if you get a... What is it? A victory royale? No, victory? Whatever it is. I haven't played in a long time either. Then you win. Bam. Done. Gotta kill those people. Okay. Another one. mainline Pokemon games? Is it just completing the Pokedex? Is it shiny hunting? Is it evolving all of the evolutions? Like, I know you can go out and you can catch like a Raichu, but should you have to evolve your Pikachu to a Raichu? I don't know.
Are you talking about Pokemon Yellow?
I'm talking about all the Pokemons. That was just an example.
No, that 100% getting that Pokédex is 100%ing the game in my eyes. Catching catching them all. But it's just rolling credits for me. You beat your 8 gym badges or whatever, and you beat the game, and that's it for Pokemon.
So completing the Pokédex would be like 100% completing it.
Yeah.
What about the shinies? They count?
No, you got to be out of your mind. Man, imagine you have to get 151 Pokemon, and then you have to get all of their shine. Wow. That is something I have never thought about, Hannah.
Uh-huh. Is that even possible? I don't know. I generally don't know.
Also do not know. I imagine it is.
Well,
you know what? You can't get it for the starters, at least in the old games, right? Like, you could only get one starter without trading with someone. But then, that begs the question, does trading count towards your goal?
Ooh.
You could just trade and get yourself all the shinies. Mine is being blown right now.
Ooh. Well, someone's got to have some answers to this, right? Might not be us, but somebody knows. Somebody definitively tell us. Then, the next one is Xenoblade Chronicles. Any of the Xenoblade Chronicles, or just RPGs in general. So there's beating the main game, right, which then roll the credits, but then there's also like side quests, and then a lot of them have this thing where you have to, like, I don't know, make relations with the town, or like every person that you interact with, you have to build your relation, blah 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 blah. Beating the strongest enemy in the game, is that considered beating it? Because that to me is super fulfilling. You know? There's lots of things.
I mean, for your first point, side quests are called side quests for a reason, so they don't count towards the main game complete. Well, let me stop using the word completing. Finishing is beating the game. Completing is 100%ing the game, at least in my eyes.
Right.
Finishing the game, no side quests. Screw the freaking hardest enemy in the game. That's optional. Anything optional that doesn't prevent you from getting to the credits does not count.
Okay. I like that definition. I'll work with that. But just for, discussion, if I want to complete the game, does that mean I have to do all of that? Like, I can beat all of the side quests without beating the strongest enemy in the game. Then what?
Really? That seems interesting.
Yep.
I guess it's going to vary by game, and I have never played that game, but I don't know, Hannah. Since you've played it, what do you think?
I don't know. That's why I wrote it down. I couldn't tell you. I feel like you would have to do everything possible that you can do to beat it. But then at the end of the day, just because you're beating the strongest enemy, it doesn't move the goalpost at all. I mean, yeah, you accomplished it, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't unlock anything. It doesn't clear a check mark. It doesn't do anything. I don't know.
No, you would have to make your own checklist at that point.
I don't. Yeah, that doesn't count. Not bootleg checklists over here. That doesn't count. Okay, here's another easy one. Tetris.
Impossible.
Okay, good. Like that. Here's another one. Splatoon 2. Now, it does have a story mode. So is it beating that story campaign?
Yeah.
Or is it maxing out your stats? I don't even know if that's possible, but that's like gajillions of hours of playing.
Tons of games have story and multiplayer, and it's practically two different games at that point, but I'm going story. Beating the story counts as finishing the game.
Okay.
Even if you never turn on multiplayer.
Okay, I like that. I'm also of that category. Last one, Pokemon Puzzle League, and let me be specific here. So it will roll credits after you beat it in easy mode, but it also has medium, hard, and if you beat it in easy mode, you unlock extra hard mode. So you have to beat all of those to beat the game? Or is that 100% completing it?
That kind of stuff makes me so mad. That's a very good one. That stuff makes me really mad because then I feel like I didn't beat the game when I roll credits. Do you only have easy unlocked when you turn it on?
No, you have easy, medium, and hard. It's just extra hard, I think, that's unlocked.
Well, if that's the case, I would go medium, and I would beat the game that way.
Okay.
And so, that would be it.
Somewhere in the middle. Not the hardest difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay. I think most people would probably agree with where we're at. That's all the ones that I had. I just thought it was fun to think of some.
Very fun. Good job.
And then let's see. The other topic I have here is how often do you finish a game? I know my answer, but what's yours?
How often do I finish a game?
Yeah, so like if you were to play let's say 10, easy 10, how many of those 10 are you likely to complete? Finish. Let's be specific.
Finish. I think I'm gonna say 9.
9?
What are we counting as playing? Like
beating
sitting
them.
down, turning it on, and intending to Yeah, I'm not gonna complicate it. I'm gonna say 9.
9. Okay, that's solid. Very solid. I think I'm about like a 6. Now, of course, I don't have a complete list. Like I said, I will play a game, fucking forget about it, and just never think about it again. But I feel like it's pretty low. I am not one of those people who will sit there and struggle through a game if I'm not enjoying it. But I know you're the opposite, because I've watched your ass struggle on stream.
Oh, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I mean, what am I going to do in a game like Mario and Luigi where I get to the end and I freaking am in so much pain and it literally hurts me to exist in life, and am I just going to stop because it got hard? No, like I'm going to finish the final boss. I've worked all these hours and I've put in all this time into this game. So if I get to the final boss and things get hard, there's no way I'm quitting. That has never happened before.
I think if you're at the final boss, you might as well continue, but if I'm a couple hours in like a 20-30 hour game, my ass is quitting. I'm not going to sit there and struggle. It's not worth it. I only have a limited amount of time to play games, and I'm not going to waste it on something I don't enjoy.
I think that's a very good way to live. I don't think that I have that same mentality. I'm very good at pushing through games even when I'm not enjoying them. That's either a good habit or a bad habit. I'm not sure. But I think what helps is it's rare that I play something that I don't like. And I'm trying to think of something like... I was really excited for Scarlet Symphony on Switch, and it was a letdown. Really wasn't enjoying it, but I knew it was kind of a short game, and I just wanted to knock it out and add it to my experiences list. And I didn't need to do that, but I think that I just have this. I don't know. It's just my personality to finish the things I start, I guess. I don't know. It's not good. I could have put that time into something better. And, I don't know. That's not how I am.
Oh, see, my ass is a quitter. I will quit at the slightest hint of unenjoyment. No, I think if I'm at the final boss, like you said with Mario and Luigi, and I think if it's really difficult and I have to do it over and over and over and over and over again, like I had to do with freaking Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, I almost stopped, but I didn't because I wanted to get the story. Anyway, not important. If I'm in that situation and I do beat the final boss, I feel super accomplished. But if I sit there and struggle for 30 hours and I finally beat the game, I'm like, why on earth did I do that? That was so dumb. I hated every second of that.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't felt that before.
That is crazy. God bless you, dude. Just not me. I'm a quitter. I'm out of here. Gone.
Yeah, I guess I don't play a lot of super long RPGs. I don't play the long games, so maybe that's why my answer is different than yours.
I mean, that could be. We just like different games.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. So it's time for the main topic.
Do you feel accomplished when you finish a game that you wanted to stop? That was something you wrote down. I kind of wanted to talk about. I feel incredibly accomplished when I finish a game. It is like the journey may be a real pain sometimes, but man, crossing that finish line, seeing the credits roll is just a huge freaking reward.
I mean, yeah, I like seeing the credits roll, but of a game that I enjoy. But
to tell you the truth, I don't think I would. I think I would only want to finish about half of the games I play, plus or minus, because at some point, just about every game starts to feel like a slog or a job that I have to get through to reach the finish line. If I had like no discipline, I would probably never finish games because generally speaking, it's going to get repetitive at some point. You're going to fight the same enemies and you're going to play missions that are nearly identical to ones that you've already completed. That's just how it is.
I feel like that just means you're playing bad games.
I don't think that's true.
No, it's probably not. But it feels like
you fight the same enemies. Right, okay. I guess I don't need to give you an example. Cause
no. Bring it on.
I mean, Zelda. Like, this is not a negative thing about Zelda, but it's just the truth. You're going to fight the same enemies repetitively. They literally respawn every time there's a blood moon. And you're going to do repetitive missions in that game. And I freaking love that game. But at some point, it does get repetitive.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think Zelda, just using this example, Zelda is big enough where you don't have to do the repetitiveness if you don't want to. Like, I just want to go, search the Sky Islands. I don't have to, fight any of the enemies. I can always just run away. Or I can just do quests, or I can just do shrines. So I think Zelda might not be a good example, but I know exactly what you're saying. I was just being a pain.
No, you're good. There are just like very few games that have me like, wow, I just can't get enough of this. I need to keep playing it. But that might also be because I have so many games surrounding me in my game room that I'm like looking forward to playing all the time. Yeah. That I can't stop and enjoy the journey as much as someone who gets 1 game a month or 6 games a year or something, like a normal human being.
Yeah, so what you're saying is we're privileged.
But because I have discipline, I've already got 32 games under my belt this year. So that's that.
That is crazy. I think I have like 7.
It's just like, I think the reason I'm willing to push through is because whether I'm reading a book, finishing a TV show, like getting a new movie finished, like it's just an experience added to like my quote unquote portfolio. It's like I'm learning about, the way someone develops a game. I'm learning about these gameplay mechanics. I'm experiencing things, story plots for the first time. I just love that crap. I freaking love it. And I don't know. I guess that's why I'm willing to push through.
Well, I think a lot with you is you play a lot of like classics or like ones that people say, oh my gosh, you have to play this, it's so good. So I feel like that adds to your repertoire of games that you've played, whereas I don't care.
That's a good point.
You like want to experience all of these new experiences that you wish you could have played, but I don't care. I could care less.
That's very true. I'm getting ready to, I want to start Final Fantasy VII soon, the PlayStation 1 version. I want the experience of the slow load times, and I want to take out the first disc when I get done with the first disc and put in the second one. I've never done that because I didn't have a PS1 as a kid.
Right.
And I want to play through that game. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be for me. I think it's going to be a pain, and it's going to be a long pain, but I guess you're right. I want that experience.
But I want to suffer through it, damn it.
What's wrong with me? I'm hearing me say these things now, and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
You just like to suffer. It's fine. It's just a thing about you.
All right, now I will allow us to move forward.
All right. I think you should go first.
Fine. I have a good mix of old and new games.
Okay.
And since this is probably going to be a long podcast as usual, I'll just get right into it. The first one is an embarrassing one. It's called Rayman.
What?
On a podcast full of games I've never beaten. We're going to talk about the first Rayman game.
Dude. You're Mr. Rayman.
This title was developed by Ubisoft Montpellier, I don't know. Originally released on the PlayStation as a launch title, also came out on the Saturn, the Jaguar, and of course PC.
Nice.
It's a 2D platformer. Most people know what Rayman is, but I still have tons of notes for you guys. Anyway, it's level based. Rayman is like this limbless creature that attacks by throwing his fists at his enemies. They return to him like boomerangs. And you unlock permanent power-ups and even some temporary ones throughout the game. You've got things like the helicopter power-up, which makes you kind of glide through the air a little bit by spinning Rayman's weird-looking hair. It's pretty great. You unlock the grappling fist, which allows you to like grab onto objects and swing from them. You can hang from ledges later in the game, which seems like such a basic thing nowadays, but yeah, that was something you had to unlock.
Right.
You travel through 6 different worlds, which are all super whimsical and unique, and that's pretty much the gameplay of the original Rayman. The story, the world is at peace because something called the Great Protoon which is a mystical pink orb, is providing balance for the whole world.
Wow.
As Great Protoons typically do.
Right.
One day, Mr. Dark shows up.
No!
Which just sounds bad.
Not Mr. Dark.
He decides to snag that Great Protoon, and after defeating the fairy guarding it, he runs off with it. Then a character called the Magician appears and seeks out Rayman, who I guess is just this local hero everybody knows, and every time they have issues, they call him up. He tells him that you need to go save all the Electoons, who were just casually hanging out around the Protoon before getting imprisoned by Mr. Dark's minions. And then, of course, you need to go take down Mr. Dark.
Huh. Is this like, is the theme like chemistry? Like electrons, neutrons? Is that what I'm getting at here?
You know what? That's never crossed my mind. That's funny.
Like
protons and electrons. Interesting.
And Mr. Wizard is actually just like a chemist.
So this is like my shortest one that I have written down, but as far as my thoughts and experiences, the problem with this game, and this is not just me, this is everyone's problem with this game, you have to 100% complete it in order to beat it.
No!
Okay? This game requires you so basically you go from level to level, and like I mentioned, you have to save the Electoons. They are trapped in cages, which is a running theme throughout a few Rayman games, but they you can kind of hear them calling out to you for help. It's kind of sad, but you have to go save. It's completely optional. You can beat the level without saving them, but then you get to the end of the game and you get to the final boss, and he's like, you cannot fight this final boss until you go back to every single level and have freed every Electoon from every cage in the entire freaking game.
No. Why?
So that's a thing. It's not like they're just like, there's no map in each level. You have to like go and find them. So you might as well just do it all the first time. Which is more, I don't know, easier said than done. It's going to be a pain to get through this game. Many of the cages, this is a reason why you can't just do it the first time. A lot of them require backtracking because you don't have the ability to just go up and get them until after you have certain power-ups. How brutal.
See, backtracking is bad enough if it's like in a 3D game. So at least you get to like see the scenery and like explore a little bit, but god damn it, a 2D game? Absolutely not.
On top of this incredibly painful fact, the game is also very difficult. Tons of people never finish it because of how unforgiving it is. You have 4 lives and a handful of continues, but the game is just so infuriating. Like, lots of really precise platforming. There's spiky pits to fall into. Enemies will pop up out of thin air and F you up. It's cruel.
It's cruel. Ugh.
Evidently, the game was never play tested, according to Wikipedia, so they didn't know how difficult it really was until it released.
How? Come on.
I
Come on
guess it
now.
was a launch title for the PS1 and they were in a rush, and I don't know. Crazy. Later ports of the game gave more lives and continues, just to show you how much they really didn't get to playtest it. I gotta say though, beautiful game. It's one of the best looking games of its time. The stages are the definition of vibrant. It literally brings you joy just looking at it.
Except when an
The
enemy comes and
soundtrack
fucks
is
you
great. I will definitely be playing through this one because I'm literally the Rayman guy, as Hannah said, but I'm considering using the 99 lives cheat when I do.
Boo!
Apparently, even using this cheat, the game is still super difficult, so I don't know. I'm not a cheat guy.
Cheater.
I was feeling a little weak while writing these notes, just thinking about the pain that this game causes, but honestly, I've never made it past like the second or third world, and it's not because I can't necessarily, but I think I get very discouraged when I start passing up these electoons in each level, and I'm like losing interest every level. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to go replay that one. I'm gonna have to go replay that one.
See you
And
never.
it's just the thought of going back to Rayman 1 is a pain.
Huh. But that didn't carry over to Rayman 2. We like Rayman 2.
Yeah, I started on Rayman 2, which is where my love for the series came from. Completely different game.
Man, I did not know this about you. I can't call you Mr. Rayman now.
You can call me Mr. Dark.
Mr. Dark. Oh no. Dang. I did not know that. Well, I'm certainly not going to play it. Hell no. Man. All right.
That's it. What do you got?
You ready to hear my first one? It's a doozy. We
Heck
talked
yeah.
about it already, kinda. You want to guess?
Zelda?
Ooh. No, but I do appreciate you throwing me under the bus last episode. That intro. It is Metroid Prime Remastered. Ooh.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah. So, about it, it's an enhanced port of Metroid Prime, which came out on the GameCube. It released digitally on February 8th of this year, and physically February 22nd. After being rumored for like a year, the game was shadow dropped, or probably a couple years actually. It shadow dropped at a Nintendo Direct. They're like, and it's available right after this Direct, which was awesome. Kind of blew our minds a little bit. This version of the game adds several control options, including new dual stick controls, which I very much appreciated. Motion controls based on the Wii versions of the game. Didn't know that. And a classic control scheme to match the GameCube version. So it's any way you want to play. Love that. It was also remastered by the main developers, Retro Studios, but they did outsource some of their work to some of their partners, which I thought was interesting.
I didn't hear that.
So I have some fun facts before we get into the stuff that I hated, because my god, it's a lot. So apparently, you can use a GameCube controller with it, but some button functions are missing from the original version. This is also the only version of Metroid Prime that does not include the fusion suit.
Oh, wow.
Also, there is apparently a lot of unused content in the original GameCube version of the game, including unused lore, enemies, and scans, along with a ton of other things that were left in, like random code that, the developers leave. That's pretty normal. But it is strange that they left it in for the remaster instead of taking it out. So it's either they saw it and they didn't care to remove it, or maybe they were like, you know what, let people go ham and look at all this stuff. It'd be cool to see it, documented.
That's interesting.
Well, the scans are like the most important part of the game, which leads us to the things that I liked, right? Loved that there were multiple control options. I don't think I could have played the original version on the GameCube controller. I'm not a super huge fan of first-person shooters. This was like, besides 007, I have had no experience with first-person shooters at all. So I don't, even going back and playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 with Nintendo Switch Online, it is wackadoodle-doo not being able to aim with a second freaking analog stick. You're just kind of aiming in the general right direction, and it'll snap to it depending on what difficulty you are. And I totally forgot how difficult that is. That's a skill. I don't possess that skill. So appreciated the dual sticks, even though I didn't beat it, but it was nice being able to control it that way, and the fact that they gave you that option. Second thing, I already mentioned it. I love scanning everything. I love how much little details there are in this game and how much lore there is. Loved that part. Absolutely. I love sci-fi, like Alien, like, oh man, they're experimenting on this life form and it turns into this. Love that shit. Love it.
Yeah.
But
and historically, Metroid is based a lot on Alien.
I feel like I did know that, and that makes sense. That's why the leads are both female. That's cool.
Right.
But I enjoyed going around. I mean, I scanned every terminal. Everything you could possibly scan. I was like, this is so fascinating. I love this world building. It sucks that you have to, like, go around and scan everything to get, like, major bits of the story instead of just, like, being told or, like, described to you. But it didn't bother me. I like story is story. Now, the reason I stopped playing, and maybe you can expand on this a little bit, because I don't know the original version, I just know it from the remastered. The map fucking sucks. I hate the map, I hate everything about the map, it is so unintuitive, it hurts. You know what I'm talking about?
Everybody hates the map.
Ugh.
I'm surprised that they didn't fix it in the remaster.
Ugh! Like, I know this is a 20-year-old game, right? And I'm sure it was great at the time, right? When you're playing on the GameCube, it was like the first jump to 3D for the Metroid series, so I'm sure everyone was just like fucking blown away. Okay? But it has been remastered, and they definitely could have fixed it. And I don't see why they didn't. First of all, it's a little thing and not a thing to quit about, but like the controls on the map are backwards. So like if I move the analog stick to the left, the map goes to the fucking right. And I don't think you can change that, and it drives me insane. Ugh, it's awful. Then
hate that crap.
The other thing about the map is that it's just a bunch of freaking hexagons, like loosely resembling where the fuck you're supposed to go, right? So in the little areas that you can see, that makes sense, right? And then when you zoom out and you try to get a map of where all of the other area maps connect to each other, because then they introduce like elevators and rolling up the wall, scaling up the walls, whatever, it doesn't tell you where they're connected. So I kid you not, I've played this game for like 15 hours. I really tried to struggle through it because I know you like it. A lot of people like it. It's like a classic game. And I tried so hard. But like all of those hours were spent backtracking in the first goddamn world. Or like the little area. What is it called? I have it written down here. The Talon Overworld?
Oh, yeah.
And the Chozo Ruins. Like the deserty area of the part where you're like exploring all the ruins and stuff. I kid you not. I spent so much time backtracking. And then there are points in the game where like if you go through these tunnels or whatever, blah blah blah, it brings you to like a ledge outside. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. And there's an option to jump off and get to your little spaceship. I don't remember what it's called. But the right way is to not jump off on the spaceship, what seems like it's the right way. It's to go around the corner and there's another tunnel. But the only way to get back to that tunnel, if you jump off the edge, which of course I did, is to go all the way back through and do the whole fucking thing again. And I was just, it was just the little things that made me so angry. And the fact that I was so confused with the map. Then, it gets worse. So there's specifically, it's called the Magmoor Caverns. It's like the inside of like a volcano. It's like the magma level, whatever. There's this one area where it's surrounded by magma. And of course there's like rocks or boulders, whatever you have to jump to get up and around the whatever. And there's like 3 different paths that you can take, right? But then there's a structure in the middle that's like a research plateau or like platform or whatever that you can scan and do fun things. But there's these machines that are pointed right at you like machine guns, and they keep shooting at you and you can't hide. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's like 4 of them and they're all targeted at you at one time, and you can't avoid it. You can't like go in the pathway in the door and avoid it. They will just shoot you, and I'm not fast enough to be able to shoot all of them at the same time. Just not that good, which I think is a lot of my criticism with the game. It's just I fucking suck. You can write get good down there in the comments, but like still not gonna make me come back to this game. So that was awful. And then, of course, the map is so incomprehensive. I couldn't pause the game, look at the map, and be like, okay, I gotta go down this path. Gotta go down this path to avoid this. I couldn't do that because I couldn't understand the map. So I had to beat those things so many times, and it would kill me over and over and over and over and over again. And there's like hardly any save points around that area, so you can't get healed, which is another thing that I hate. But it was just like a never-ending cycle of just fucking dying and getting lost.
Dude, you gave it your best shot. See, this is like what we were talking about before we got into it. You really should not have to force yourself to play through something. So I'm glad to hear that you are comfortable dropping the game.
There's more, believe it or not. So the straw that broke the camel's back was specifically, there's like a research facility. It's kind of like a silo. So you're like working from the bottom up to the top. It's like you're researching. It's where the first place where you meet the Metroid and this tank, and he like comes at you. Which is fine. I got the Metroid. I was like, oh, he looks cute in that, like, tank that he's in. And then I went up a couple more floors, and then he comes out of the tank, and then, like, super hard to beat. Beat him, not the problem. The next part is after that part, is where, I think you're still in this research facility, but it's, like, outside the silo thing. You have to use your, like, heat, what is it, a thermal visor or whatever? Because, like, the power goes out or whatever. You have to, like, see these enemies. And the only way to see the enemies is with the visor, which is fine, except the fact there's, like, 20 enemies that are coming at you at one time, and it's completely black. You can't see anything except for the enemies. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
Oh. And I tried my darndest. I played that level like 4 times. And of course, there's not a save point anywhere near there. So you start again back at 0, have to traverse the silo again, back to getting beat up by these guys with a thermal visor. And I tried my hardest, but it was too difficult. And at that point I was like, you know what, it ain't worth it. And then I put it down.
Keep hitting me with it. What else you hate?
The other thing that I hate is that despite it being a game that came out in 2023, there's not more places to save. So the saves in the game, you have to have, I can't remember what it's called, I should have looked it up, but it's like where Samus heals, and then you can save at like a little, I don't know, it's like a holographic circle thingy on the ground, and you step into it to heal. That's the only place to save and actually heal. There's no like big healing items in the game. And then, so if you die and you didn't save, you can't save. So you die, you go back to the last save point, and the last save point's like 2 hours ago. And that bothered me too. I hate that.
Being the big chicken that you are, did that game scare you?
Oh, yes. And you know the thing that scared me the most is that when you shoot something at like a dark surface, you can see the reflection of Samus's face, and that freaked me the fuck out for like at least the first 5 hours, because I kept seeing a face and not realizing what was happening. And then I did it multiple times in a row, and then I saw the illuminated face, and I was like, that is not funny.
Did you appreciate it after the 5th hour?
And I thought it was cool because it's like, oh man, that's you. But I kept seeing a face flash in front of me, and I was so confused. I was like, what is happening?
That's hilarious.
But it is a cool detail, and now that I know that it's a thing, I like it. But no, there wasn't like any jump scares or anything crazy, I don't think. Oh, and then another thing, it kind of has to do with the map. I got so confused. Like, Ridley will fly over you at certain times, and it's like, okay, now that you completed this area, you have to go to this area. And Ridley, there's something over here that Ridley wants you to see, or whatever the fuck it is, I don't remember. And you have to go there on the map, but it's like not marked well on the map, and it's also not marked well how to get to that point on the map. So again, it just led to a lot of backtracking and a lot of death.
Right, so like Metroidvanias in general are probably not going to tell you how to get to an area, but this game, from my GameCube experience of playing through it, it was like really brutal with like telling you where to go but not marking it on the map all the time. And that would drive me nuts. You know, I'm not Googling stuff if at all possible, so to just walk around the same area over and over, it's just annoying.
Yep. That's where I was with this game. I really wanted to love it though, that's the thing. I couldn't. And I don't even think it was like the first person shooter thing that got me, because at the end I got kind of good at it. Except for like being dogpiled, I think that was too much. But like Again, I have very, very little experience with first-person shooters at all. Even with a lot of the 007 games, you can make it third person. I'm pretty sure I played a lot of them like that. So I don't know. I think if I went back, I'd have to start completely over, do everything over again, and I don't know. I guess just be more patient, or maybe just look up like walkthroughs on the internet and just kind of play along with it if I want the experience in the story.
Yeah.
Or I could do none of those things and just read about the story.
To get that is 100% an option.
But yeah, like I said, I'm just burned. I really wanted to like it, and I just couldn't.
No, I mean, I'm happy that you put in all that effort, and 15 hours is not a small amount of time. It's a lot of time to suffer.
And I think the last part I think I got to was the snowy area. I think that might have been.
Music is good.
It was, oh man, it was awesome. I mean, it looks great. The music is great. It looks great, especially being remastered. It looks fantastic. But, I gave it the good old college try.
I've sat down a couple times to try and commit to playing through the remaster since I got it. One of them was like less than a month ago, probably. I just don't know if I'm in the mood for it, or if like maybe just playing that game one time was enough for me. But I don't know. I'm definitely a 2D Metroid guy. The 3D Metroid games are good. I'm not obsessed with them. I'm not in love with them, but they're good. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it in a few episodes after I've put some more hours in, if I decide to. Alright, my second one here is a game that came out in 2018. Dang, I didn't write it down. I think it's 2018. It's called The Messenger.
Ooh.
Familiar?
I do know this one, yes.
So, this one came out like when amidst all of the freaking 8-bit style, like, what do we call it? Pixel art games, like all of them. The freaking Shovel Knight was out around this time. Like Celeste, like all these games came out around the same time. This one is developed by Sabotage Studio. Came out for Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. And the genre, I'm going to just say for now, it is a double genre game, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The story. So, the story starts out with you talking about a really cliche, like, legendary hero who saved a village from evil many years ago, and then a demon is shown tearing apart this village. The hero comes to save the day, and that's not you. That's not you at all. The hero gives a scroll to this nearby ninja and tells him to take it to the top of a mountain, and that's you. That becomes your character.
Oh.
Hence the name The Messenger. So you're like a sidekick to the cool guy.
Nice.
Now, obviously I never finished this game, but apparently it starts out really basic and cliche story-wise, but later on it turns into like a super deep and interesting plot with some twists. So I'm not going to go into that a whole lot, but basically this game is based on Ninja Gaiden from the NES days. It's a 2D action platformer that like super closely resembles the old Ninja Gaiden games. It starts out linear and level based, and just the way you move, jump, attack, it's all ripped directly from Ninja Gaiden, but like in a good way. They make references to Ninja Gaiden in the game, and super heavy influence. It takes the platforming several steps further, though, than just like being a duplicate of an old game, because it creates like this really challenging and rewarding experience. It's like focused on perfect timing and perfect platforming. It's super fast paced. It's like right up my alley. I think a fast paced, difficult, challenging 2D platformer is probably like my ideal video game. Level based, gotta throw that in there. But abilities you unlock are like gliding, hook shotting yourself to edges, and the ability to jump more times after hitting something with your sword. It really makes you have to think and plan out your movements rather than just like holding right and making it to the end of the stage. There are lots of combos of multiple moves that I just mentioned required. So you might have to like glide and then hit an enemy, well, let me keep going here. There's a really cool thing I have to mention. Um, that's the first half of this game, though. This whole time, you've been playing in 8-bit, and then so at some point, there's like this time traveling stuff that goes on in the story, and the game turns 16-bit.
Ooh.
And that is such an awesome thing. Like, that was a big draw to this game when it launched. The map, the character, the music, all of it switches upon simply walking through this like warp tunnel. It is the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
The fact that the 8 to 16-bit shift is so seamless and it happens in the blink of an eye is incredibly cool. But also at this point, you are brought into an open world Metroidvania just out of nowhere. The game just like completely shifts along with the 8 to 16-bit shift. So, I've played all the way up until this point, okay? And then these warp gates introduce puzzles and backtracking galore, and it's like jumping between time periods becomes like it'll change the map. So, along with just like not just changing from 8 to 16-bit, it also changes like some things are accessible that weren't previously accessible. So really, it's like this giant open world now where half of the game looks different than it did the first time you went through it. There are some awesome bosses from what I can remember. Nothing overbearingly difficult. And yeah, like I said, one of the many insanely popular pixel art indie games that came out around this time.
That is really cool. I had no idea that it switched styles like that. And even the music, too. It must have been... Did you know that was going to happen?
Before playing it, yeah, I had heard a lot about this game.
Oh, I was just about to say, if you didn't know that was going to happen, you're just like, well, that's crazy.
YouTube ruins gaming. Confirmed.
Wah, wah.
It's been a good 5 years since I played this game, probably. I had access to it via Game Pass and really loved the first half, but I remember being very confused once the Metroidvania half kicked off.
Huh.
I really, really enjoyed the first half. I decided to go back, or if I decided to go back, I would probably start from the beginning because of how much fun I remember it being and how much fun it like looked when I was rewatching gameplay to take notes for the show. Mm-hmm. The only real reason I stopped playing this one is because I was actually playing through it simultaneously with an old friend. She and I would often like play single player games together. I know I've mentioned it before in these 42 episodes, but like while we're talking on the phone or on Xbox or whatever, like we would be playing the same game, separate places, and it was just a great time. But it was around this time that she and I actually stopped talking, and this game ended up being pushed to the side. I'm the type of person who's like, I won't watch a show without you if that's our show. So it was kind of that situation where I just didn't want to like hop back into it without her.
Right.
But it's not on Game Pass anymore, so I would have to go buy it. You know, I think I would like to buy it anyway. This is a game that I just didn't get to experience the second half a whole lot, but I did get very confused. It did seem like a lot like Metroid Prime. It just didn't seem to tell you exactly where you needed to go, and I don't know if I'm gonna like that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you haven't played Celeste, right?
No, but I know of it.
It's just the platforming in Celeste is so good and challenging, and this game is so similar to that with just everything I mentioned, all of the different things you can do. It just feels great. It's super rewarding whenever you can get yourself across to where you need to go. I don't know. I honestly want to pay for this game so the developers can get some of that freaking money because they deserve it. They put in they apparently, like, these developers worked on this game as like a side project. It was 2 guys, and they were working on this in their spare time before they decided to like create Sabotage Studio and like turn it into a whole project, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool, especially such a unique idea. I don't know of any other company or developer that's done anything like that. The whole shifting.
Yeah, me either. The reviews I watched while taking notes were like saying that the backtracking and the fetch quests are super annoying in the second half of the game. I can personally see myself getting annoyed by those things, but I still want to find out for myself.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Is it? Did you say it's
Um,
on Switch?
oh yeah,
So it's on all modern consoles? That's awesome.
right. The last thing, quite possibly the most interesting fact, is evidently Sea of Stars, which just came out a month ago, is a prequel to this game.
Really?
It is a turn-based RPG, and it's nothing like this game.
Huh.
But apparently, it is a prequel developed by the same developer.
Is it a prequel like the events of that game directly follow this game, or is it just like a prequel like 1,000 years prior?
I did not look that far into it, Hannah.
Oh, come on now. Aren't you the story guy?
So yeah, The Messenger.
Man, that sounds like a lot of fun. I didn't know that. Alright, my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is one that I've talked about here before. And I am ashamed to have not completed it because I was so excited about it. I think I talked about it for like 3 months in a row. But it is Bug Fables and the Everlasting Sapling.
Oh dang.
I know. So this is an action RPG which took inspiration heavily from the first Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64 and Thousand Year Door, which the fandom says is definitely the best, right, of the series. I think everyone would agree with you if they're a fan of Paper Mario, just it's the good old Paper Mario times. It came out May 28th of 2020 on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. The game received generally favorable reviews, scoring lots of 8s and lots of 9s out of 10. But not for me. So, I'll explain the story a little bit. The game takes place in a land called Bulgaria, which is inhabited by all kinds of sentient bugs. The kingdom is broken into different sectors, or, drumroll please, insectors. Ha ha ha. Insects are ants in the center, bees to the west, termites to the south, and wasps to the north. So it's just a whole big old kingdom of sentient bugs. The land has strange relics, which are remnants of the first group of sentient bugs, which were roaches. Everyone's favorite. Yay, roaches.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said too. So among said relics is the everlasting sapling, which is said to grant eternal life. The sapling is hidden, of course, and the bugs set out on a journey to find this sapling. You play as 3 bugs: V the bee, who uses her boomerang in the world and in battle; Leaf, the moth, who uses ice magic; and Kabu, which is a beetle who has like a giant horn on his head, so he uses that for attacks. So why I stopped playing. All of this bug lore sounds great. It didn't quite have the same like shine and like razzle dazzle that the Paper Mario series had. It didn't seem quite polished. It wasn't super exciting to look at. Which I know sounds like I'm being pretentious because it came from an indie developer and it obviously was not made by Nintendo, but I was just expecting it to be exactly like Paper Mario, and it wasn't. And I think that was my big disappointment of it. So
After the way people talked about it, I feel like that's fair. People like constantly said, yeah, this is better than every Paper Mario that's come out in the last decade.
no, see, I did not think that. I played it, I think I played it for like 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, which I know is kind of on the small side when it comes to RPGs. But I couldn't tell you a thing about the world. I couldn't tell you anything about the characters. There was nothing that stuck in my mind at all. So, versus Paper Mario 64, which I could tell you everything that happens and all the characters. I love that game. But, like I said, it kind of lacked that polish. It's in the same art style as the first Paper Mario, so everything's papered, right? It's flat. No pun intended, I guess, that the world is flat. But it didn't, like, have the same shine. So, like, all of the textures were obviously, like, paper, but it didn't have, like, a depth. You know, everything felt flat. Whereas the Paper Mario series, they have depth to, like, all of the background, the foreground, where you are, the characters, everything moving around. It just didn't have that same shine. which is not something to stop playing a game over. I just thought I'd worth mentioning. Also, the other thing, which a lot of people in the Paper Mario fandom say, is they love the buddy system. Like, that's kind of why the main reason why they play the game. So if you're not familiar with the buddy system, basically it's just like having a second character there to fight with you, but there are different buddies. So like in Paper Mario 64, there's Goomba. His attack is really easy. It's really simple. You get him like the first 5 minutes of the game. And his attack is basically just headbutting, right? But his attack isn't effective against people with enemies with spikes on their heads, right? Obviously that makes sense. And then there's the ghost. Her name is Boo. She has a fan. She smacks the shit out of the enemy, right? That's awesome. Then there's Watt, right? He uses electricity. So there's a lot of ways to like mix up the combat. And this game didn't really have that. So the basic combat is very similar to Paper Mario 64. There's, once you enter in the battle, there's attacks, there's items. There's also this thing called turn relay, which allows an ally to transfer their turn to another ally. So say one of the bugs wasn't going to be, like his attack's not going to be effective against your enemy, then you can change it with another one that's going to be more effective. That's nice, that's cool. But instead of having your buddy with you, you're rotating between the 3 bugs. So it's kind of like Mario and Luigi in that sense, except if you add like Waluigi there, so then there's 3. So no buddies. It seemed like the attacks were like all kind of the same. And I did look up, which I didn't know because I quit prior to this, but you do get a buddy and her name is Chompy or Chomper, and it's kind of acts like a buddy, but like that's it. Like she's the only one that you get. So not super like thought out, not super extensive in terms of strategy and everything like that. I don't know. It didn't quite feel the same. I expected it to be there and it wasn't there. So because of that...
Is Chompy a bug?
You know, I didn't look up a picture of Chompy. I just know that Chompy exists. Honestly, the thing that comes to mind is Chomper from, the Mario series, but I don't think that's it. I don't think they could quite get away with that.
Chain Chomp?
Yeah. Chompy.
Okay.
I
don't know anybody named Chomper, but all right.
Okay, you know what? You're right. It's Chain Chomp, not Chomper, but whatever. Whatever. So yeah, in that sense, didn't quite feel the same. I think I quit after the first or the second dungeon. So like I said, each of the 3 bugs have like their own abilities and stuff, but they're all mapped to like the same button. So like when you're in the overworld and you're trying to like solve this puzzle with something, you could accidentally hit the wrong bug's ability, and then like the barrel in Mario and Luigi, you accidentally hit Mario, smashes the barrel, gotta start all over. You know what I'm saying? It's just things like that bother me, and then you have to go like back a screen, and then the thing will reset, and then you can accidentally do it again, and you gotta go back, and the thing will reset. So it's just it felt weird that there are so many buttons on the Switch controller and modern controllers in general, and they had them all mapped to the same one. Didn't like that. There was one dungeon specifically where you're like trying to move these ice blocks around, and it's a platforming section of the game where you're in a dungeon and you're trying to like get up to a certain height, blah 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 blah. Well, you can move said block around with one of the bug's abilities because it's stronger than the other bugs, but you can accidentally hit the wrong button and then crush the whole block, and then you have to start all over again at the very bottom. So
jeez,
it's just one of those things where I had to like backtrack and then do it again. That really bothered me. So it felt tedious, and I just wasn't up for that at that time.
Fair enough.
But I do have some fun facts, because these are kind of fun. So, the game was originally called Paper Bugs. Everyone's favorite Paper Bugs. But I think they changed it. They didn't want to be like too spot on the nose.
On the nose.
Yeah. So then it later changed to Bug Fables. The name change was revealed in January 2018 alongside an Indiegogo campaign to help support the game's development. So did not have that. Also, I said that the first 2 Paper Mario games are a huge inspiration for this game. But there were other games that it took inspiration from, which were Persona 5, the Tales series, Golden Sun, and Xenoblade Chronicles. So
a lot of Nintendo there.
Lots of Nintendo. And then I mentioned this earlier in the combat, the command called turn relay, which is where you can switch out whatever person goes, is inspired by something called Baton Pass from Persona 5. That was interesting. So they're just stealing a whole bunch of stuff from the RPGs.
Very cool.
Yep, that's all I got. I think if I go back with these expectations squashed and just go back thinking, oh, this, it's just an RPG, it's just another RPG, I think I would enjoy it. I think there was another game that came out around this time, which I know is a boring reason, but I think I just put it down and never picked it back up because I was interested in that one and then just forgot about it.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like you're going to be going back anytime soon.
No, probably not. I have a lot of RPGs coming. Trust me.
Okay. Well, I have a positive one here. My third one is Okami.
Ooh.
Do you have this?
No, but I am familiar with it.
I'm going to start this one off by saying I think that you would really enjoy this game.
I think I would too.
Developed by Clover Studio, who might sound familiar if you listen to this podcast. They are a studio created by Capcom.
Ooh.
And directed by an even more familiar name, Hideki Kamiya, who you may remember from our Bayonetta episode.
Wow.
He's now the vice president of Platinum Games, but this game was his child in like 2006. Didn't write it down. This game released on PS2 exclusively, and then it came out on the Wii 2 years later. And I always thought that they released at the same time on both platforms, but no.
Huh.
This is a third-person action-adventure game. Just think Zelda. That's pretty much what this game is.
Right.
The story is, you start out with some narration talking about how 100 years ago, a white wolf and a swordsman fought to seal away this 8-headed demon, Orochi. Takes place in Japan,
Ooh.
Combines Japanese folklore and mythology. Present day, you play as main character Amaterasu, a white wolf who is the goddess of the sun, who we find out is the same goddess from 100 years ago, reincarnated.
Ooh, love that.
You quickly befriend this 1-inch tall wandering artist named Isun, who honestly feels like a flea on your back the entire game. There is a warrior named Susanoo, who is a descendant of the warrior from 100 years ago who captured Orochi, and he doesn't believe all this mumbo-jumbo prophecy nonsense, so he decides to go ahead and free this 8-headed demon. Life gets sucked out of the world, and the wood sprite Sakuya goes to grab Amaterasu and asks her to kindly save the world, as you do.
Nice.
It's actually a pretty deep story, and I'm essentially regurgitating it from Wikipedia since I've only played a small portion of the game. But, fun fact, Okami is a pun because it can mean wolf or great god in Japanese.
I did know this.
Cool. Gameplay. Combat is incredibly hack and slashy. You fight enemies the same way, kind of in Twilight Princess, how you would get trapped in circles and couldn't leave until you defeated them all. There's a paintbrush mechanic in this game, thanks to Isun, who, like, being with you the whole time, has this celestial brush, which works as both a puzzle solver and as a weapon. And this is a huge part of the game. Essentially, you press a button to pull up a separate, like, overlay screen on top of your screen, and you can draw on it straight up.
I bet that was fun on the Wii.
Depending on the shape you draw, you can get like a bomb to blow up an obstacle, or you can use that same bomb to blow up enemies.
Oh yeah.
You can simply draw a line to connect things together or slash your enemies. What's awesome, like you said, the Wii port is how you can draw things on the Wii, and I imagine that's got to be way better than using a PS2 controller. So that's also what reviews said. I haven't tried the PS2 version, but apparently the Wii version is the way to go with Okami.
That's what I'm talking about. Nice.
Well, I guess there's a bunch of HD remasters now that are probably better.
Well, yeah, it's on the Switch too.
Yeah, I literally wrote, I think you would love this game, Hannah.
I know I would love it, and the fact that well, okay, see, I know that it's on the Wii, and I can spend like $25 on it on the Wii, or I can spend like $40 and then get it imported from Japan. And I just haven't wanted to make that call yet. But it's on my like games I want for the Wii list, and I've had it on there for 10 years.
Oh, that's interesting. You don't want to play it on the Switch?
Yeah, I would prefer to play it on the Switch, of course, but I mean, if I stumbled across Okami in the Goodwill for $5, I'm not gonna not pick it up. I mean, come on.
Oh. I mean, you know it's on Switch.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this game released the same year as Twilight Princess, and it actually got the IGN Game of the Year over Twilight Princess.
No way.
It's pretty crazy. I went and watched a review they did from like 15 years ago, and they just freaking love this game.
Huh. Well, I love the art style of it. It's like super,
right.
I guess you could say calligraphy-esque kind of style, like the painted with a paintbrush style. It's beautiful.
Right. It is a gorgeous, vibrant world. There's a lot of cell shading going on. It's this Japanese art style, and apparently the cell shading was brought in due to hardware limitations, but it ended up being to their advantage, I think, because it looks great.
Well, it's also super unique. I mean, I know a lot of games use the cell shading, like Wind Waker, of course, but it definitely stands out among like every other Wii game I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's been a good 6 or 7 years since I played this one. I grew up seeing magazine ads for it, actually. Like, I might still have my childhood Game Informer magazine where Okami is, like, center stage. And I remember distinctly that this game was rated T and it had freaking, like, tobacco references on it. And I thought that was so interesting.
Back in the day. That's really fun. No, I did not see advertisements or anything for it. It's really, I learned about it, like, when I started collecting. I was like, you know, Wii games that I should own, or, like, games like Zelda games, because there was such a lull there for a long time. And that one came up.
Right. So I played it on Wii. I only ever sat down to play it maybe 3 or 4 times, and if it was actually always while talking to that same friend on the phone. But she ended up really enjoying the game, went on to beat it without me.
Ooh.
So every time she suggested that we play it, I was never really feeling it. So she finally just said, screw it. So it's not like she left me in the dust, but kind of left me in the dust.
Sounds like you're a little salty still.
I think every time I played the game, it was really late at night. And I used to work night shifts at this fast food place. And it would be like midnight when I get home. And I turn on the Wii. And I'm, like, literally falling asleep. I distinctly remember falling asleep with the Wii Remote nunchuck in my hand playing this game.
Oh, man.
So, a few reasons I can think that I stopped playing this. I was exhausted and distracted by the phone call, and I wasn't able to focus on the instructions given to me in this game, telling me like where to go. I would get lost, and it ultimately led to me kind of losing interest in ever wanting to turn the game on. And I gotta say, after watching gameplay for this episode and hearing all the rave reviews, I have been thinking about turning it on lately. Like, since taking these notes, like, it sounds like a great game, and I kind of definitely want to give it another shot.
I would definitely play it alongside you. That would be fun.
Oh, heck yeah. And you wouldn't leave me in the dust?
No, I wouldn't leave you in the dust. It'd be like Monster Hunter Rise. We'd hate it, but we'd hate it together.
All right, go buy it, and we will make that happen, 100%.
Heck yeah. I'm down.
So I only got through the first dungeon, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface. It's now been remastered, brought to all modern platforms. I think it was originally a PS3 got a remaster, and then they decided to, I don't know what happened after that, but they have now brought it to all the modern platforms. And do you know that there is a spiritual successor on the DS, Hannah?
No.
It's it's kind of weird to call it a spiritual successor, but it's called Okami Den, and this game came out on the DS, and it takes place 9 months story-wise after the events of Okami.
Ooh.
You control the wolf cub Chibi Terasu, which is freaking adorable, who has the same powers as Amaterasu, but isn't at his full potential yet. The game wasn't developed by Clover Studios. Apparently, was not developed by the same developer. You get to control the Celestial Brush with the touchscreen, which just feels like it would be perfect.
Right. Yes, I like that.
If anything were better than playing on the Wii, the DS would probably be it because of the touchscreen. Like, if a Wii U version of Okami came out, I bet that would have been peak Okami because of the gamepad.
I was just about to say that. Man, they really missed out on that one.
The latest, and it's not like Platinum Games didn't love. Oh, I guess that's not technically Platinum Games. It would have had to have been some Capcom legal stuff. But anyways, the latest news on any Okami sequels was in 2020 when Kamiya and an art director from the game stated on Twitter that Okami would be back and they plan to approach Capcom about making a sequel.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. A true sequel.
Right.
Oh, man. I would love that. Like a collection. That would be fun. Because it never got a physical over here in the States. So a collection. Or like it's one where you buy the second one, you get like the first one for free. That would be sweet.
Oh, when you said import, I was like trying to figure out why you would import the Wii version. But now I see. I didn't realize that we didn't get a physical here for the Switch.
I don't believe that we did. So yeah, that would be fun. Like I know if you bought the second Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U, then you got the first one packaged in with a code, I think. Or it's on the disc. I don't remember.
Right.
But like buy one, get one free. Because that game's been out forever. I mean, they've already made almost all the money you think they could possibly make on it.
Yeah.
So that would be sweet. I would buy the sequel.
I'm going to Google if Okami came out in America. It did not.
Yep.
To be clear, the physical Switch version.
Yes. I think it came out... Well, actually, I don't want to say that. I was going to say it came out on other systems. But I don't know that.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen like a PS4 physical of it.
That would make sense. But yeah, I definitely know I'd like that game. I just haven't bit the bullet. It's just it's like one of those on my backlog, but I don't own it yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like I know it's not going anywhere, so I just haven't bit the bullet and bought it yet.
Okami or Ys Origin. I am down for either one whenever you're ready.
Ooh, love Ys Origin. Love that one. All right, you ready for my third one?
Take us to number 3, yeah.
I think this is one of your favorite games, but I don't want to say that. I think it's top 5 Mario games for you, but it's Mario 3D World.
Oh, no.
I hate. All
right, guys, that's all the time we have for today's episode.
I so dislike it. I really don't like it. It's like...
All right.
I want to say that I dislike it more than Sunshine, but then again, I finished Sunshine.
Oh my god!
I finished Sunshine, so maybe I hate this one way more.
This is a good opportunity. I've only ever heard you say you hate it. Now I get to know why.
Yeah, and it's not really anything that's like too mind blowing. I think it'll make sense when I explain it. So just a little bit about it. If you don't know what Mario 3D World is, came out on the Wii U, all the way back in November of 2013, which means it's almost been 10 years now. Crazy.
Wow.
This game introduces the Super Bell power-up that charges the characters into cats. It's a sequel to Super Mario Land on the 3DS, and between the Wii U version and the Switch version, which it later got ported to, plus Bowser's Fury, I believe it's called, the game has sold over 17 million copies.
Sheesh.
That's a lot of copies. So, particularly why I stopped playing. I felt very caged in this world compared to the other Mario titles. So let me explain. I like the more open, sandboxy style Mario games, right? Like Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey, right? You have this hub world, or in Odyssey, kind of not really. But you go into like different levels, and every level is something fun, right? Every level is something different. You can walk around the regular world and just pick whatever you want, right? I did not feel that way while playing this one. It felt very linear, like I had to be set on this specific path and do this specific thing. I couldn't explore the world like I had with the other Mario games. So, I know it's called 3D World, which I didn't click, I guess, at the time, but it's basically just a 2D Mario game, that linearity, but it's 3D. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm the one. I make that argument to everyone. It is a 2D Mario game in 3D.
So, I have never been a super big fan of 2D Mario games. Just 2D games in general. I like 3D. 3D is my jam, right? Unless it's a puzzle game. That's also my jam. But, something about it it felt too restrictive. And that was like one of the first Mario games that I had played outside of Super Mario 64. So I think I played Super Mario 64, and that was my only 3D Mario experience. And then I played this one thinking it was going to be similar. So I had these expectations that it just wasn't. So, if I went back, which I can't because I don't have my Wii U anymore because it bricked, but if I did go back and play it, if I had these expectations, I think I would be able to get through it. You know what I'm saying?
Just like with Bug Fables.
Exactly, like all these games. I feel like if I went back and I tried it a second time, I could do it. But
that's interesting.
So, the levels were just way too easy and way too short. I felt like I was running through the levels way too quickly, and it was like, this is no challenge at all. There's, like, nothing super entertaining to keep me here. And it felt like I was being punished because there was a gosh darn timer. Like, I felt like I couldn't explore the world as openly as I wanted to because there was a timer at every level. Why would they do that? I don't get it. I mean, I guess if they're following the 2D Mario, then it has a timer, or like some kind of time mechanic that if you finish within a certain amount of time, you get like points or blah, 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 whatever that is. But like, I'm one of those people who like to explore, and I feel very pressured when there's time, even though there was plenty of time on the clock for me to get through these levels because they were so short. I just felt like I was being punished and I couldn't explore like I wanted to. And I didn't like that.
Yeah, you had the wrong expectations.
Because in Super Mario 64, there's no timer. I can do whatever I want, you know? I can get any stars in any order. Yeah. I can collect all these coins and stuff. And this one was just not that. And then I hear you say, well, I guess the timer's really there so you can, like, play it again and, like, do this, this, and this in this amount of time. And it's like, I'm not one of those people, right? Once I get the level done, I get the level done. And then I'm done. Like, I'm not going to go back and collect all the items or do this and blah, 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 blah. That's not me. I'm not that person.
Unless it's Mario 64, where you literally play the same level 6 times to get all the stars.
Yeah, but see, that one is unique in the fact that it opens up different things. Different things happen in the level. It's not just like the same thing over and over again. But I get your point, right? But it wasn't that fun for me. And then also, I know I'm definitely the minority here, but like the whole cat Mario thing, I wasn't a fan of that in the beginning. And I could probably still say I'm not a fan of that. I'm just a little more accepting of it now. Like, yeah, they're cute as fuck, but like...
The controls or what?
Just like the whole shtick. They're cats, and they can climb on the walls. Like, we've already done that you could jump up walls with, like, the wall jump. That's a thing. I don't need cat claws and a cute costume to climb up the walls. You know?
I don't.
And also...
No.
You get stuck on the walls that you're not trying to jump on, and that was annoying, too. I was like, I'm not into that. So Cat Mario just kind of felt like Tanuki Mario, but like not as cool and not as fun.
Very interesting takes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's a great game. It looked beautiful. The sound was great, but I couldn't sit there and enjoy it because I was being timed the whole time. But, like I said, I think I was just expecting something else, and it wasn't that, and I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. It's a 2D Mario game. And timers come with it, and collecting 3 stars in every level and having to repeat the level until you get all 3 stars comes with it. Mm-mm. It's every other 2D Mario game, but now there's 3 dimensions.
And you're a cat. Which just didn't do it for me.
Fair enough.
That's all it got.
All right. We can all be wrong sometimes, and this is Hannah's time.
Hey, man, it took me 42 episodes to be wrong. That's pretty good.
Dying Light 2 is my next one.
Ooh.
This is developed by Techland, released last year in 2022 February.
Ooh, a recent one.
Yeah, for sure. Released on PS4, PS5, Xbox, blah, 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 PC, and evidently there is a cloud version still coming for Switch.
Woo! A game I'll never play.
That is for sure. Wikipedia says it's an action RPG and a survival horror game. I can't argue with that, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk story. I didn't play the first game, but this game takes place in 2036, 22 years after the first one.
Ooh.
It's a zombie game.
No.
And at the end of the first game, every human in the city of Harran is reported dead because of a zombie pandemic. A corporation called the Global Relief Effort, the GRE, comes up with a cure for the virus that turns people into zombies.
Oh, no.
This game came out amidst a real-life pandemic called COVID-19, and coincidentally, in the game's timeline, 2021 is when a mutated variant of the virus escapes the GRE research facility, and a second pandemic begins, spreading faster than the first one.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, at the beginning of the game, there's like a big giant blurb about this is not based on real life stuff, this is just a video game,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. Anyways, the vaccine doesn't work on it, but suppresses these new zombies, or what suppresses these new zombies is UV light, which is a huge part of the game. By 2036, a huge chunk of the world has been killed off. The world is very post-apocalyptic. People living on top of buildings and in these large communities. All the buildings are zombie infested. The world is split into a few factions, but you spend your time bouncing between two or three of them, and you can choose which side you want to help and which side you want to screw over, essentially.
Nice.
So it's one of those games where you literally get to choose your story, and so there's a lot of replayability in that regard. Your main goal as the main character is to find your lost sister, Mia. You play as Aiden, this dude who is brave enough to travel between the various settlements and make money doing dangerous things for people.
Wow, okay.
But
this sounds like The Last of Us, but like just a little different.
I have not seen the show still. I am slacking.
Oh, this sounds like exactly like the plot of The Last of Us, except for it's like gender swapped. And, like, the ages are different. But keep going. This is interesting.
Along the way, you uncover a ton of dirty secrets about the GRE, and overall, the story is pretty enticing. One of the main companions in the game is actually played by Rosario Dawson. I don't know if you're familiar with her,
Nope.
but she's pretty awesome. And all the voice acting is solid. It's a pretty high-budget game. I could not tell you another game that Techland has developed, but this is the second game, and people love both of them. They get really great reviews. But yeah, the easiest way I can describe this game is it's the same genre as like Breath of the Wild, but it's a zombie survival horror setting. It's open world, you craft weapons, kill enemies, fight bosses, RPG elements, like multiple upgrade trees. There's tons of skills and attacks to acquire. The combat is pretty deep. Stats to increase, the usual. Weapons can be equipped with various mods, like maybe you want your axe to shock the enemy when you swing it. I'm pretty sure you can have flame modded to your axe or something. The big unique thing this game has going for it is the parkour.
Parkour!
This game takes its parkour very seriously, and it's apparently a huge draw to the game. There's climbing, jumping, sliding, wall running, all the usual parkour activities. There's paragliding, which is a huge part of your traveling. There's a grapple. According to Wikipedia, there are over 3,000 parkour animations to give a more fluid, free-running experience.
Goodness gracious.
Weapons are mostly melee based. You get lots of axes and spears, but later you get bows and arrows and guns and whatnot. Mission variety is pretty good. You might go to a building and clear all the zombies. You might go to a tower that can go and like be repurposed once the power's been turned on. So you got to like solve a puzzle and get the electricity flowing again. There's boss fights. Lots to do in this game. And tons of side missions to help you acquire money and weapons and all kinds of stat boosts. I haven't even talked about the zombies themselves, but there are a lot of zombie types with varying attack styles. Some of them have different strengths and weaknesses. It's crazy. Very deep game.
Is it like super jump scary-esque horror game or just like atmospheric horror?
I'm going to go atmospheric.
So nothing's
and I will
like
talk about that in a sec.
jumping out at me and making me pee my pants?
No.
All right, well.
Why? Is it sounding interesting so far?
It is. Well, it sounds like The Last of Us, but like with parkour, and that's super fun.
Well, let me continue. So I actually picked this up on opening weekend for PS4, and this is, like I said, didn't play the first game. The whole reason I got it was because my roommate really, really loved the first game. I mean, this dude, he seems to actually have like a real love for like zombie games. I've noticed he's a big Resident Evil 4 fan, and he likes a lot. He loves COD zombies. I don't know. I don't think he intentionally goes for zombie games, but there's something about them that draws him to them. So he was excited to play the second one, and he doesn't buy a ton of games. He's usually like a normal person. He buys like 5 or 6 games a year.
Right.
And so I don't know. I kind of wanted to experience this with him, and plus the game was going to have online co-op. I was like, heck yeah! We weren't roommates at the time, so we were just excited to play online together.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So I picked it up used actually on opening weekend, which might have been a red flag, but the the game starts out linear, telling you exactly where to go, and there aren't any side missions. Perfect. I'm loving it.
Right.
Turns out this was just the tutorial section of the game, because a few hours in, the world opens up and you're able to go do whatever you want. Side missions like crazy. You can just spend hours fighting zombies in the world and level yourself up. It's completely open.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to this point, this is when online co-op is accessible. This is when we found out that the game was not exactly what I'd hoped for, because it's the type of co-op experience where you don't have a save file that you and your friend are working through.
Ooh.
Instead, it's like, I'm working through my save file. Why don't you come over and hang out for a bit and help me kill these dudes and, do some missions with me? There's no progression for the visiting player. They can just drop in and out on a whim. It's just not what I was looking for.
No. Why would they do that?
I guess that's probably like a normal thing in games these days. Like, I don't know.
Really?
It's not for me.
Huh.
I don't know.
Well, if I'm going to sit there and play with somebody, I want to, like, experience the story and everything and progress together.
Right. Exactly. So we played a few times together, but I mostly just decided I was going to play through it by myself, especially since my friend was having the time of his life playing it alone, making crazy progress. Yeah, he was like, oh, we don't get to progress together? Peace. So anytime he would come to my save file, he'd bring like these super high level weapons, and we'd go fight a boss. It was like a one-hit KO, and that kind of made the game less fun for me.
Ugh. Too easy.
Typically in open world games, I'm focused on just doing the main quests. This is something I've tried to work on, and I've changed a lot. To give a quick example, 2017, played Breath of the Wild doing almost no side missions, as we've discussed.
Right.
And when I played Tears of the Kingdom 6 years later, I had a blast taking my time going through the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But why did I stop playing this game? This is a weird one. I don't know why I can't get into it. It's pretty fun. It's very well put together. A couple things I'm not a huge fan of, and this is going to discourage you right off the bat.
Oh, no.
Well, let me do this one, and then I'll tell you why you're not going to like it. Stealth is something that requires patience. I've never been fond of stealth in video games.
I thought you were going to say I've never been patient.
That too. It's a side... if it's a side thing, I can usually put up with it in video games. But in this game, while it's not mandatory, you will struggle if you wake zombies up because you're going to be careless or because you're being careless. And I just don't like crawling around, sneaking around. Like, I'm just trying to rush through stuff for some reason. I don't know why I'm like this. But let me tell you about zombie chases, Hannah.
Oh, no.
When you wake up zombies and it's nighttime, zombies will begin to chase you.
Oh, no.
And it is high adrenaline, high anxiety. It's crazy. The sounds, the atmosphere, you're literally terrified, and you got hordes of zombies coming after you.
I'm out. No thanks.
You're putting all of your parkour skills to the test, fleeing for your freaking life. You can fight them, but because there's like dozens and dozens and dozens, like, they're not going to stop coming until you find UV light. And it's horrifying. I'm not scared of video games for the most part, but that's pretty freaking terrifying.
I'm out. No, sir.
There's a lot of spots on the map where you can go and get to be free of UV light, and you can activate more as you progress. Honestly, it's very scary. The game creates a really good scary atmosphere. I don't really like playing it at night. I definitely think if I ever go back to this one, it'll be during the day.
Right.
I think I'll finish it one day just to get my money's worth, but I'm not really in a rush to get back to it. I don't buy a ton of brand new games, like less than 10 a year, I would say. But I typically know that I'm gonna love a game before I spend a whole 60 or 70 on it, or I have a really good feeling I'm gonna love it.
Right.
And I guess this is just a case where, I don't know, it's the game. It's not the game. It's me that's the issue, unfortunately.
Well.
Yeah.
It sounds
also
fun, but too scary, I think, for me.
I also think that what's discouraging me is I'm completely disconnected from the story at this point because of how many times I've played for like 2 days, put it down for 4 months, then picked it back up. It's not good.
Well, it sounds like you gotta start all over.
Oh, man.
Huh.
If it had been the perfect co-op experience I was hoping for, we wouldn't even be talking about it right now. But they did it dirty.
Dang. Yeah, I guess people like that kind of co-op where it's just like non-committal, like you can still progress without your friend. But like if you want it to be a true co-op, you'd want it to depend on your friend being there. I don't know. I guess I can see it both ways.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for this one?
That's it. I'm ready.
I'm sure you can already guess what it is. We've talked about it already on this episode. It is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I feel like I have to justify myself in this one, but I'm definitely not alone. I looked up a lot of people's criticism of this game just to make sure that I wasn't alone. I am not.
Ooh.
So, you blasted me last episode, I believe it was. Yes, I've played The Wind Waker. No, I do not like it. I have been on record in saying this is like my least favorite Zelda game. It is the only one that I have not beaten, and I do not see myself beating it anytime soon, unfortunately. But I know the story because I looked it up.
To be clear, I might have roasted you. I also don't like the game.
Yay! Okay, well then maybe you can chime in and say, yeah, I agree. Okay, so if you don't know anything about The Wind Waker, it's the classic cartoony Zelda game that came onto the GameCube all the way back in 2003. The art style is wildly divisive among Zelda fans. It's the cartoony style that's very cel-shady, very bright, very different from the other atmosphere and art styles of the other Zelda games. And it is also the same art style in Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks on the DS. So gameplay-wise and story-wise, the Zelda game is set on a group of islands divided by a vast sea, which you traverse on this thing called King of the Red Lions, which is a red boat with a lion face, which you depart on a vast adventure across this sea in this 3D Zelda game. You're introduced to lots of fun characters. There's the Rito, which are the bird people. I don't think the Zora are in this game, because the Zora evolved into the Rito. I believe that's true. I think there's Gorons in this game. Tons of fun. Your grandma's there. your sister's there. There's like pirates and an epic chase. And Zelda, of course. I'm making it sound so great because the story is great. It's just the gameplay's not great. So just a little bit about Zelda lore. So Wind Waker takes place in the adult timeline, or the adult Link timeline, which occurs after Link in Ocarina of Time defeats Ganon, right? And then Zelda sends him back to experience his childhood. But a crisis emerges when Ganon returns, but Link never returns because he's not in that era. He's gone. He's into another branch of the timeline. So in order to stop Ganon from fully coming back, the gods flood the world, which is why Wind Waker's land is completely covered by water. Did you know that?
I definitely did not know that.
Fun fact. Okay, so why I personally stopped playing. Let me preface this by saying that I have tried and failed to get into this game on 3 separate occasions. I tried my hardest. So the first playthrough was right after beating Ocarina of Time in Majora's Mask on the GameCube, and so I was just like, okay, I'm going to buy this other game on the GameCube. Zelda Wind Waker. Didn't look into it all. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew I liked Zelda games, so I bought this one because I just got in a GameCube, the purple one from a Goodwill. Not that long ago.
What's the age range we're thinking here? Like 16?
Yeah, I must have been like 16, 17. It was like when I first started collecting games, I think. Actually, you know what? It was probably younger. Probably like 15.
Okay.
Around there. Because I remember I couldn't drive yet. But anyway, I got this game. I plugged it in to the GameCube, and I was like, what on earth is this? This is not like the moody, atmospheric, dark Zelda games that I'm used to, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. It was bright, it was colorful, it was different. Which didn't necessarily deter me from the game, it wasn't what I was expecting. Which I guess is a common theme among this whole list here. Because I have these expectations in my head, and it's just not those. But anyway, I played it. Didn't like it that much, so then I stopped. So then a couple months later, I was like, that's stupid. Why did I do that? It's a Zelda game. It cost me God knows how much. Probably like $70 at that point. Because GameCube games are not cheap. And I was like, sick. Let's do it again. But this time, it was after I had beat Twilight Princess. So I was like, I want something else to play. Love Zelda. Let's play this one. Got back into it. Started all over again, by the way. Just because I was like, I want to give it, the best chance I could. Still hated it. Put it down. Years and years and years and years later, which is like just a couple of years ago from now, probably 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I don't know. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to beat this goddamn game. So I plugged it in again, new save file, and then I put it down forever, and I'm like, never again. That's where I'm at right now. So, I wasn't a huge fan at the time. It's grown on me since. I wasn't a fan of the art style. I wasn't a fan of how happy it was, which I guess doesn't, maybe it doesn't make sense, but like Zelda games are notoriously moody.
Oh, I totally get that.
And the style wasn't my favorite. It was very different from what I'd seen. Link is very expressive, and very open, I guess, with his emotions, I guess, because he's so expressive, and I wasn't digging that. So that's the first thing. Not a reason to quit the game, right? Because I liked it in Spirit Tracks in Phantom Hourglass. I thought that worked perfectly on the DS. Didn't like it on the GameCube. The other thing, which I know is a big critique of this game, the whole sailing, hated it. So I didn't mind the idea of sailing and exploring the open seas, but it was so slow, and there wasn't anything to do. Like, yeah, you could dip your claw into the sea and like pick up random things, which I liked. That was fun. I'm that stupid person who plays Animal Crossing and digs in the dirt for bells, right? I love that kind of stuff. It's monotonous, it's stupid, but at least there's something else to do. There's nothing to do on the open sea.
I didn't know the sea travel was highly criticized.
Well, it's just that it takes you so long to get from one island to the next. It's slow. The whole thing is slow. And the animations for picking up things in the Red Line, also slow. Just slows the whole gameplay down.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big criticism. And then specifically, this is what made me stop. Like, besides the sea, I could get over that. It was just slow. But there was specifically a level where you're supposed to be climbing up. I think it's a Deku Tree. I should have looked it up a little more, but I didn't. You're climbing up the Deku Tree, And it's like kind of like a platforming kind of area. We were trying to like climb up on top of him or something like that. And I kept fucking falling. It's like, I know I'm not that great at platformers, but I did not think it was this hard. So you have to land yourself into the enemy's mouth, right? And then it like spits you up. It's kind of like a Venus flytrap. And it like spits you up and you have to like keep shooting yourself from one to the next. Landing on the platform. And then there's parts where you have to use your parasail and you have to land specifically in this spot. And if you don't land in that spot, you fall off the platform, have to start again. And I just remember falling over and over and over and over again. The point where I was like, this is no longer fun. I hate this. So then I think that's probably when I put it down one of the times. The second thing I remember hating about the games is the boomerang mechanic, because it was so freaking finicky. It like never went where I wanted it to go. It kept hitting things, especially when there's puzzles, you have to hit it like in the specific order. And I kept doing all these puzzles and I kept hitting the wrong one and then I have to start all over. That drove me insane. Super frustrating.
I feel like, I don't remember this for sure, but I feel like the axis could have been inverted, which just probably pissed me off if that's true with the boomerang.
That
I don't know.
Totally could have been true. I don't really remember. And not that you can really tell from watching gameplay of it, but that totally could have been true. But yeah, and then the other thing, I guess it's related to sailing, is not only did it take a long time, but I don't remember there ever being a point where it showed you that you completed this island or that you'd been there. So like if I put the game down for a week and I turn it back on, I'd have to sail all the way to that island, which wouldn't be a big deal if it only took me 30 seconds, a minute to get the island, but it took me like 15 minutes to get the island. And if I got to that island and I remembered that I'd already been there, then I'd have to go back another 15 minutes to that other island. And there was just like, it was like hours out of my time sailing between islands. Because I couldn't tell which one I'd been to. That was annoying. I think that might have been like the final straw. I was like, no thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're hurting a lot of the audience. I know a lot of people love this freaking game. I beat it probably around the time you were playing it last, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was a slog. I had to freaking force myself. And we have roasted it on this podcast ever since. Like, I don't know. Not my favorite Zelda game. Would not recommend it. Would not play it again. The first half, pretty solid game. The second half, not a fan.
Yeah. So I know another criticism. I didn't really get that far, but the Triforce shards and whatnot, and that being just awful. Not necessarily difficult, just like tedious. And it took a lot of time. Like I said, I didn't even quite get there. So I don't know how tedious it was. But if I were to play again, I'd probably play the Wii U version, which is like the remaster. Can you say? Yeah, I guess remaster, not remake of it. And so I have the differences written down here, which I think make a difference in my decision to play it again. If I were to buy another Wii U, of course, and then buy that game, then I'd play it. So like I said, there was a slew of differences between the two versions. There's like what is it called, graphics and blah 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 and frame rate and all that kind of stuff. Don't care about that. But as far as like mechanics and gameplay that were bettered, you can now purchase this thing called the Swift Sale on Windfall Island Auction House, which offers a 50% speed increase and auto wind direction adjustment. Oh wow! So that's nice. Sailing is faster. I did not know that. Yeah, and then the Triforce quest has been shortened, so in the Wii U version, you only need to find 3 Triforce charts, as the other shards can be found in treasure chests on land, compared to the GameCube version, which you need to find all 8 underwater, which I remember tracking and being a nightmare from the ones that I did. I didn't do all 8. Also, some of the animations are shorter. Like I said, when you're like trying to find stuff in the water, he doesn't like sit there like, oh, I gotta pull it up and blah 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 blah. It's just like, bam, done. That's nice. Made a little faster. Also, the Wii U gamepad also serves as a touchscreen map and inventory, which would have been super nice. Super convenient. And the Wii U pad also gave you motion control, so you can aim like the arrows and stuff and the other items. I think that would have made it much better, more accessible, and I think I would have liked it more.
The only problem I had with that game is the Triforce hunting, and I've talked about it a lot, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I had to Google that crap to get through the game. The 8, I was not about to soar the freaking 7 seas looking for these freaking 8 pieces of the map or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
But it ruined the whole second half of the game for me. But the Wii U version, I would probably enjoy.
I think so too. I think if I were to play it again, and trust me, I'm not in line to play it again anytime soon, but if I were, it would be that version.
Yeah, I still do not own the Wii U version of Wind Waker on... I wish I did. I don't own the Twilight Princess HD remaster. Ooh. I should have got those a long time ago.
I will say the only reason why I have the Twilight Princess one, not that I don't love Twilight Princess, I do, but it came with the Wolf Link amiibo, and so I bought it for that.
That freaking big box is so nice.
It's so beautiful. It's so nice. Wish they would have done that with Wind Waker, though. They could have. They have Wind Waker amiibo, but I guess they came out way after.
Oh my gosh, is that the only way to get the Wolf amiibo?
I don't know, actually. I feel like it was sold separately.
I mean, it's the only game you would need it for.
Yeah, and they might have done a reprinting of it at some point when Breath of the Wild came out, but don't quote me on that one. I don't really remember. There's too many amiibo to keep track of, man. I can't do that.
Number 5, as we have crossed the 2-hour mark here, I think. Let me look at my list real quick. This might be my most relatable one to the most people out there. Well, Rayman was hard to argue with. That game is a drag, right. A pain. Yooka-Laylee.
Ooh. Ouch.
Developed by Playtonic Games, 2017. Have you played this?
No.
Okay. Platforms, it's on everything. Literally all the modern platforms. It came out in 2017. Genre 3D platformer. But more importantly, what Wikipedia doesn't tell you is it's a collectathon.
Ooh. Yay!
This game was a spiritual successor for Banjo-Kazooie, and a bunch of the team who worked on Banjo came to work on this game. Everybody knows. But, fun fact, the game raised over €2 million on Kickstarter.
Whoa.
Which was record-breaking. As you'd expect, tons of references to the N64 and Banjo-Kazooie in general in this game. An evil corporation called Hivory Towers finds out there's a book called The One Book that has the power to rewrite the entire universe, as you do. Evil scientist Dr. Quack makes a contraption called the Novelist 64 that can suck up all the books in the world so they can get the one book. Protagonists Yuka the chameleon and Laylee the bat are hanging out in Shipwreck Creek one day, and they see their book go flying off and getting sucked into the Novelist 64. They follow the contraption back to Hivory Towers, where they find the CEO of the corporation, Capital B, who tells them they can come in and get their book if they find 100 golden pages, which I guess must have fallen out in the whole process of stealing the book. This ends up being a trap, of course, because Capital B just wanted to restore the book. And yeah, pretty shallow storyline, which you would and should expect for this game.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Gameplay. Positive, gorgeous. It's freaking vibrant. I feel like a lot of the games I've mentioned, vibrant. Not Dying Light 2. The game was terrifying. It's a collectathon, so you're solving puzzles and exploring some pretty vast worlds, trying to collect various items. Some of them are optional, but at the end of the day, your goal is to acquire golden pages. Like I mentioned, you need 100. Acquiring these allows you to unlock new worlds and also expand current worlds. Yuka and Laylee are your duo of protagonists, and the combination of them makes for some very unique platforming, some puzzle solving. You can unlock new jumps, new attacks, you can fly. There's RPG mechanics that allow you to upgrade abilities as well. Definitely taking it a step past Banjo-Kazooie with all of these new features. Collecting enough molecules, one of the many collectibles, allows you to transform and use exclusive abilities that you'll need to crack certain puzzles. There are also berries you can consume, kind of like in Spyro, where you unlock like a temporary ability, breathing fire, underwater, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, breathing underwater or breathing fire.
Right.
Not both at the same time. There are races, there's challenges that'll unlock pages, other goodies. That's your general day-to-day in Yooka-Laylee. I have tried to sit down and play this twice, and I must say I've never played Banjo-Kazooie. Didn't grow up with it. I'm like the only 90s kid, me and Hannah, the only 90s kids that did not play Banjo-Kazooie growing up.
Right, guilty as charged.
I've started this game twice. Once by myself. Funny enough, I actually won a digital copy of this game from Luke Likes Games back when he held a giveaway for it like 6 years ago on Instagram.
Man, you won that?
I freaking won it. It was like nobody who entered, and I won it.
Dang.
And then I tried it once with my girlfriend. I've lost interest so quickly both times. It's not co-op necessarily. I found out that the game is like Galaxy's co-op, where you have an assistant. So my girlfriend and I were just taking turns, but it's actually got this second player assistant mode where like you're like first person's actually playing the game. The second person can pick up like health or currency, nothing special.
Ugh.
But I suppose it's better than nothing. I don't know.
How boring.
Yeah. The game controls great. The soundtrack is freaking awesome. I just honestly don't know if collectathons are my genre. You get thrown into a world and there's no structure. It's just, here, go get all this crap, and then whenever we get enough crap, we can move on to another place and do it all over again.
Woohoo, more crap.
That's pretty much the story of my life, actually. I enjoyed Spyro. I can't lie there. But it feels a little different. Spyro is like linear, and you have a checklist telling you what to collect and what percentage you need to move on to the next level. I also like that Spyro's levels are way smaller. And like the more I say this out loud, it's like, is this just another case of where it's just me, not the game? Like, maybe I just would like to have more structure. I don't know. This is me trying to figure out what keeps me from loving Yooka-Laylee.
Well, usually people are like, it's too linear, it's too structured, just give
Right.
me what I want to do whatever I want. Sounds like you, my friend, are the opposite.
Yeah. Which lines up with everything I say. Like, I don't do side missions. I just go do the main stuff.
And who cares about story?
Overall, I would like to play Banjo-Kazooie before trying to get through this game. And if I beat Banjo and end up not liking it, there's a very slim chance I'll ever come back to Yooka-Laylee.
Do a lot of people say that this is better than Banjo-Kazooie, or no? It's just like a spiritual successor.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I think people are happy to have something that slightly resembles their nostalgic 90s game.
Right.
But I've never heard people say they like it better.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're currently working on a sequel to the game,
Oh,
Yooka-Laylee 2.
I didn't know that.
And I've definitely mentioned it like last episode, I think, but Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a 2D platformer spin-off, and it's fantastic. I freaking love that game, and if they ever make a sequel to that one, I will be there.
I was about to say, not to be confused with the other Yooka-Laylee out there.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
That's it. You have any intentions to play Yooka-Laylee?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. So I bought the second one thinking that it was the first one, only to be disappointed that it's 2D and not 3D. So if I were to play one, it would be that one.
That adds up. That might be right up your alley.
Because the first one was released only by Limited Run Games, I think. Am I correct in saying that?
It's been too long. I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that one was only released by some limited printing company, and I missed it because I didn't know about it. And then I saw that the second one was coming out, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll just get that one. It'll be fine. I'll play the sequel, and then maybe I'll go back and play the first one. Not equal. Not the same at all. But I think I would like the first one. I think the problem with collectathons, though, you mentioned Spyro, and even though I do love Spyro very, very much, I also found it very repetitive, and, like, that's the only thing I'm out there to do, is collect these gems and these whatever. I think you really have to be a person that likes that kind of stuff, and will I do sometimes? Most of the time I do not. If that makes sense. Like, I have to really be in the mood for just mind-numbing nothing. In, like, the best kind of way.
That's a good way to put it.
In the best kind of way. But yeah, I think I would definitely try it. Alright. My last one is Cadence of Hyrule. Now,
what?
I know, I think I've said this before. The full title, let me just say that, is Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. It's a lot of words there. This game is by Brace Yourself Games and published by Nintendo. It is a roguelike rhythm game that incorporates both elements from the original Necrodancer game and the Legend of Zelda series. So the idea for the game started when Crypt of the Necrodancer's creator Ryan Clark approached Nintendo about using Zelda content in a DLC for the original game. But apparently Nintendo loved the idea so much that they decided just to be like, hey, we're going to fund it. Let's make a whole standalone game. And thus Cadence of Hyrule was born.
What an honor as a developer.
Right? So the creator said that he made sure to put as much detail and, like, I don't know, I guess love from the Zelda series to make it both a sequel to the first Necromancer game and an entry in the Legend of Zelda series. Now, I don't know if fans consider it canon. I don't, but it sure does seem like they put a lot of detail and attention from the Zelda series. Also, like we said, Nintendo doesn't really license out their IPs to anybody. I mean, they work with, like, big companies like Atlas, Capcom, Ubisoft. But, like, it is
Platinum.
very, very... Right. It is very rare that they license it to a small indie developer. But they did.
Yeah.
So, the game uses sprite work. It's pixely. It's very akin to A Link to the Past. And very, very, very close to Minish Cap, which is the Game Boy Advance game. I think that's the one that was made by Capcom? Or in partnership with Capcom? Am I remembering correctly?
I think you're right.
I think that's right. But the world is...
Both Oracle's games are Capcom for sure.
Yes, I did know that. But I think Minish Cap is the other one. I could be wrong. Anyway, the world is bright and colorful, and the characters look absolutely amazing. Like I said, the sprite work looks so very similar to Minish Cap, and I love that game. Love Minish Cap. It's great. So gameplay. The player plays the majority of the game as either Link or Zelda, which I think is really fun. Players traverse the world. Like in other Zelda games, there's locations like Death Mountain, Hyrule Castle, all those kinds of locations. But the cool thing about this game is that with each new save file, the world is completely different. So, like, one save file, for instance, Hyrule Castle might be smack dab there in the middle, right? As it's supposed to be. And then Death Mountain might be to the north of it, like normal Zelda games. But on another save file, it could be completely different. So, like, Hyrule Castle could be down there in the right corner, and then Death Mountain could be up there on the left. It just depends. So every game is different.
Oh, wow.
Every game is unique. Now, while the overworld does not change once you've started said save file, many of the dungeons at some of the temples do change. They change every time you go in them because it's procedurally generated. So, don't ever expect to get comfortable in the dungeon at all, because it'll change. The enemies, I think, still stay the same, but, like, and their attack patterns still stay the same, but, like, where they hide, where they are is completely different. Everything's different. Since it's a roguelike game, the player will lose their rupees and temporary items when they lose all their health, and then they'll be sent back to, like, this cave thing, and then I think you can trade out rupees for, like, an extra heart, or, like, extra attack, or, like, a stronger sword, or stuff like that. So, like, typical roguelike fashion, once you die, then the game gets easier. Does that make sense? Like, dying is a whole part of the thing.
Huh.
Also, there's permadeath. If you want that, I didn't want that, I don't want that, still don't want that, which challenges players not to die at all. If you die, you're done. Dead. Gone. There's also, which I didn't realize until researching this, a fixed beat mode, which removes the need to play to the music at all. So, I might go back and play on that mode if I am to go back. Because I do want to experience the story and experience the thing, because it's like a Zelda game, except for rhythm, which I thought I had until I played this game. But we'll go into that later. So, to explain the gameplay a little bit, because you've never played it, right?
No.
Have you played any kind of, like, rhythm game like this?
No.
Okay, so, close your eyes. You don't have to, but imagine the world in A Link to the Past or Minish Cap, right? You see lakes, you see rivers, you see rocks, you see grass, you see trees, as you would, right? And sprites. Now, imagine all of that, but there's enemies there, of course, but the enemies are moving to the beat of the song. So, imagine the overworld you're traversing has like a pattern, like a chessboard, like underneath. So it's not like white and black, like smack them. They're right there on the underworld. It's like under it, like you can still see like the checkered pattern underneath the world.
Okay.
And so imagine that every beat of the song, every tap, 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 the red or the white switch or the white spaces switch with the black spaces. So you have to keep moving spaces. So you pick a space. So say you pick the white spaces, you have to keep moving to the beat every time it hits. So once you do this, you can either hit the enemies or like whatever, jump, whatever. But you have to keep with the beat or you get like kind of stunned and it'll say like miss the beat. And so it's very difficult to keep up the beat and worry about the enemies fighting you at the same time. So I think that was my main problem with it, is that I thought I could keep the beat, which I can. On itself, it sounds fine. You just move a space every time the beat hits. But then you filter in the enemies and like the platforming part of stuff where you have to like jump on platforms. And it gets really confusing really quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So, keeping the beat, there's like a Triforce in the bottom part of your screen in the middle. And it shows you the beat so that you can keep up with it. Also, you think you get comfortable with one beat in one song. Then you get to a dungeon or to a boss fight, and then the beat picks up, and you have to go faster, and it gets more intense, and it's crazy. There's more enemies at you. It gets harder. And so I think when I played that game, I was okay keeping the beat when I was by myself, right? Easy. Move to the beat, and then they started factoring in enemies. And then, once the enemies got involved, I started going to the dungeons, and the music was faster, and then I had kept that same rhythm from the first song in my head, and then I couldn't translate it to the other songs. That makes sense. Like I got used to the overworld song, and then I couldn't translate that to the other stuff. And I think...
So can you stop moving? Is that allowed?
Nope. As it'll say, wow. Well, you can stop moving, but the enemies will keep moving towards you, and it'll say like miss beat, so you're kind of like stunned a little bit.
Oh, wow.
So you have to keep moving at all times to whatever that beat is. Let's see. Also, I think I didn't realize what a roguelike game was at the time. So I didn't realize that dying actually helped you in the long run. So I like kept getting freaking bashed and killed by these enemies in like 1 or 2 hits. Because I kept getting frazzled. And I kept dying and losing all my stuff. And I'm like, this game sucks. It's way too freaking hard. You must have to be a genius. Like a protege to beat this game. And I just was not. And I don't think that concept kind of resonated with me. But now that I know there's a version where you don't need to do the beat at all, and I know the fact that if you keep dying, it's okay, which I did so many times in the beginning, I think I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
I thought this whole time you had beat this game and you were like a massive fan of it. I don't know why.
Nope, that is not the case. So I think I played it. I probably gave it a good 5 hours. And then, I don't know, I just was like, this is too difficult for me. It's not worth it. Which really sucks. But I also think there was another bigger game that came out after that. And I was like, oh, I'd rather play this instead. But I could be wrong. But things I did like about it. The music was incredible. Like, I don't know if you've listened to a playlist of it. It's like, they took the Zelda classics and they remixed it. They made like a deeper tempo. They made a faster tempo for like some of the smaller or the slower songs. It was absolutely incredible.
I've definitely heard some of the music. Love it.
It was great. I also like that they included like a lot of Zelda locations, which of course they would, but they also had items like the bow, the bombs, the hook shot, all that kind of fun stuff. So it really felt like a Zelda game, just a different genre, which I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, I guess I just suck at keeping the rhythm, which sucks because I love Guitar Hero and like all those other rhythm games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't really... I don't know. I can't knock it till I try it, but I'm not too enticed to play it.
I thought it was fun for what I saw. But like I said with all these, I think I could go back and complete these if I really tried. I just wasn't there when I did it the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my list.
Woo! 10 games
We did
that
it.
we didn't finish because we're noobs.
Probably never will. But who knows?
1.5 Zelda games on your list. Not expected, but...
Hey man, I gotta own up.
There it is.
I gotta own up here.
Cool. Well, which of the 5 are you most likely to go back and beat?
I think now that I know that I don't have to play with the beat with Cadence of Hyrule, I think it's that one. I really do.
Yeah.
I think if I were to give Metroid Prime Remastered another chance, I'd have to start over, and I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, considering I tried to play it like just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I think I need some cool off time. What about you?
I definitely got to go with Okami. I want to play Okami pretty bad now.
Which I always hear such great things about it. So I feel like, well, I mean, I guess that could be true about the ones I have on my list. All the ones on my list are like rated 9 out of 10. They're like, these games are excellent. You have to try them.
Especially Wind Waker.
Yep. And then I have some honorable mentions. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I got a handful.
So I think I've talked about this one before, but Final Fantasy Adventures. You probably know a lot about this one. I think this is the first.
Oh, you got screwed.
Yeah, this is the first game in the Mana series. I don't want to say for sure.
That's correct.
Okay, so first one in the Mana series. And then, so I bought the collection. What is it? The Collection of Mana? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and I was like, okay, you love this series so much, so I'm going to start off with the first one. It's going to be great, because it's a collection of 3, I think. Or 4. I think it's 3.
3.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to play the first one. Let's go for it. So I got into it. I think I was like freaking 5 or 6 hours in, which is a big chunk of the game. And then I freaking screwed myself. So in this game, you can save anywhere you want, like along your journey, which is great. Love that. But me being me, I got struck by an enemy, or I ate something, or I did something that's like poisonous, so it drains your HP ever so, like every so many seconds. It's like, 3 HP gone, 3 HP gone, 3 HP gone. Well, my stupid ass decided to save at like 2%, at like 2 HP, and then thinking that, oh, you know, I'll just start the save file again, and I'll just be able to revive myself. But as soon as I log on, or as soon as I start the save file, I fucking die because the poison kills me. So I have myself in this like loop, and I can't get out of it, and it sucks every time I try to revive myself. It's like, nah, game over, done, dead, gone. So it's and I was enjoying it, but not enough to start over. That makes sense. I was like, I just felt so defeated by the fact that I did this to myself, that I'm in this never-ending loop. I can never touch that save file again. Gone. Just gone forever.
Yeah.
It just, I think it...
You thought you were like cheating the system. You're like, haha, I'm gonna live.
Yeah.
And then you come back and it's eternal death.
That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, I'm so smart. I'll do this and then I'll just be able to revive. It'll be fine. Not a thing. Can't do that. Don't do what I did. Unfixable. So I was burned, and I just didn't ever go back. And that's been my experience with the Mana series. And then, let's see, another one I have is, I talked about these games a lot. The Last Story and Pandora's Heart, I think it is. Those are the Rainbow Operation Rainfall or whatever. That was a part of the Xenoblade Chronicles release over here in the US. I was so excited to play these games, and then I got to the motion controls, and the Wii controls just feel so clunky and like not good for RPGs at all. I hated it. It was awful. I got like maybe 3 or 4 hours into both of them thinking that they'd be different. And the way that they control, they're not. They're very similar. It's just not good. I just did not like it. The Wii controls are great for other kinds of games, but I hated it for these 2 RPGs. Not good.
Interesting.
And then I have a few more. I'll just quickly go through them. Final Fantasy 13 on the PS3, the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. I think I put like 10 hours into it, and I just wasn't into it, so I just stopped. Same thing with Tales of Exila. I think that's how you say that. And Tales of Vesperia. They were fine. They were RPGs. I thought I'd get into them. Just couldn't. Tales of Cold Steel, same thing. Monarch, Bing Bada Boom, same thing. Just couldn't get into the story. Didn't really care that much. And then Fire Emblem Three Houses. I talked about my dislike for the tactical strategy RPG, and that was just another victim of that.
Yeah.
So they're all RPGs. Surprising.
The Tales of games, are those PS3?
The one of them is PS3, and then Tales of Vesperia, I think it's an Xbox 360 exclusive.
Huh.
I think if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, not a fan. But yeah, that's all I got.
Now that, like, at the beginning we were talking about how a final boss could be the reason you don't finish a game, or like a boss in general, dude, Sonic 2, just classic Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I have played that game dozens of times. I have made it to the final boss, and I have died at the final boss every single time. I cannot beat that game.
Man.
And it's not a game you can save, so you have to play through the entire game to go back and lose all your lives again at the final boss.
Nope.
So,
Yep.
Maximum Carnage, Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage on the Super Nintendo. Same situation. You gotta play through the whole game, get to the final boss, lose all your lives. It's the most unfair piece of garbage I've ever played.
Is that the one?
It's such a beloved game.
Is that the one with the red cartridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People freaking love this game, and I don't think anyone played it. I think people see Spider-Man and see this red cartridge, and they're like, oh yeah, great game. I've played it. It's not great. It's very unfair.
Love. Mwah.
Need for Speed Unbound came out last year. Wasn't a fan. I played like 4 or 5 hours. Honestly, any racing game that has like rubber banding is bound to piss me off. No pun intended.
But
I don't know. It's a weird game. And I guess I have a big list here. I'll mention The Grinch on Game Boy Color. I streamed that last December as like a little holiday stream.
Right.
Terrible game.
Ooh.
Just garbage. Not to mention, it requires a lot of stealth, so I'm out.
God. You and stealth. Not a fan.
Me and patience don't get along. Let's do some listener responses.
Ooh. Perfecto. So I asked in both the Discord and my Instagram, what is the reason that you quit a game? Just because I was curious. I know we mentioned some earlier, but some of these are really freaking good. Gotta say. I don't know if you want to start with Discord.
Sure. As soon as I remember, there it is. Alright. We got some good long responses here, not too long. What is the reason that you stop playing a game completely? Like, stop playing it one day, never pick it up again. And bonus question, what's a game that you started and just never finished? Cosmic said, I'm not really a rage quitter or anything. I'm actually the opposite. I just obsess until I figure it out. Probably longer than I should. So when I stop playing a game, it's for one of 2 reasons. Number 1, I got bored. There are too many good games out there to play a game that I'm not interested in. Good point. It doesn't mean they're bad games or anything, but sometimes you lose interest. Fair. Number 2, I got busy. I've got a lot going on, and especially during the latter half of the year, my life gets pretty difficult to manage. I've gone days without talking to anybody outside of work. Once conference season starts in October, I'm effed, and the workload doesn't ease up until after the holidays. And usually, I'm gifted new games during said holidays, so those capture my attention once my schedule frees up. It sounds like just this endless chain of never finishing certain games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bonus, Astral Chain is the game that they started and never finished.
No.
She keeps saying I'm going to actually finish it, but I think it's been so long I'm going to have to start over. It's a great game, though. All caps on great.
Astral Chain is fantastic.
Dan, Evil Robot, said he gave 4 reasons. Every year there's new releases and they take too long to beat. Number 2, I buy and collect on not just newer games, but also retro video games too. Feel that. Number 3, got too much stuff going on in my personal life. Sometimes I get too tired during the nighttime. And 4, I'm a movie buff, so I like watching movies and streaming TV shows.
Right. Other hobbies?
Bonus, he said I'm going to stay focused beating the games that I own. If it's a fighting game, I obviously am never going to beat it. Just have fun with it. But big games like JRPGs, open world games, take me forever to beat. And my man Andre Funtime Wallace said, it's very rare I quit, but based on the last few games I quit, 1, there's too much backtracking in the game. 2, the game is too repetitive, 8 hours of the same thing. Or 3, game is difficult and I'm not progressing at all.
All good reasons. Definitely all good reasons.
What did our lovely Instagram fans say?
So, Andrew.Brennan says, I stop playing if I die and have to redo a difficult part that took a long time in the first place. Such a pain. Agree. I'm quitting. First chance I get. So, we have Numbers. NURMBMS. I don't know. It says, full of bugs that wasn't fixed at all. Literally a bad experience for a AAA game. Agree. If there's a super big game-breaking bug in a AAA game, 1, that's unacceptable, and 2, totally would stop playing.
Sounds like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they didn't say the game, but I figured that's what it probably was. So we have Shadow_the_hobbyist says, when you open a Ubisoft game and realize the game map is going to take a year to complete 100%. It's like, not even worth it. Don't even want to start. He also said, when a game forces you to play in a certain way, like The Last of Us, didn't like the way it handled stealth, so he's a stealth hater too.
Stealth hater.
He also said, progress being slowed without microtransactions. Which is another thing. If you need, like, microtransactions in general are just kind of a turn off. For me personally, I know a lot of people like them, obviously. But it bothers me if it's, like, totally game-breaking and you have to pay to win. I hate that.
I haven't had to experience that, thankfully. But it sounds awful.
Definitely agree. Then we have N Junkie says, too big to complete. They just look at it and they're like, you know what? I'm out. Don't have enough time in the day. Then we have It's Angela_C_ says, it just doesn't grasp me. So they're just not interested.
Fair enough.
Then we have, I've always called her Coco Megan, even though it's not that. It's Caco Megan. CACOMAGEN. Every time on Instagram I see her, I just think Coco. And she says it's honestly almost never intentional. I'll just finish for the day and then just never pick it up again. Which I feel like makes sense. Then we have Think McFly Think Co. says Paper Mario Switch so repetitive that I lost interest. I didn't ask for a game, but they wanted to throw it in there anyway, which is nice. Then they also said, after time has passed, not remembering where the character was in the game. Totally agree, especially if you're in RPGs and you go back to it and you're like, I'm not relearning these frickin' moves and all this stuff. Just not worth it. Also, they said Ni no Kuni trying to get back into the impossible gameplay mechanic after 2 years. Totally get it. You're just lost in the story. And you don't want to go back.
There's a lot of times where I just, like, I think you mentioned it at the beginning, but it's a kind of a nuisance to have to go and relearn how to play a game if it's got tough controls or something. Like, if you go a month or 3 months without playing a game, it's almost like you have to start over. You can't just go to settings and look at the controls. Like, if I tried to stop playing Bayonetta for like a month or something, man, I could not have come back to Bayonetta.
Right. I agree. I don't think I'd want to come back. If I didn't finish it when I finished it, there was no looking back.
It's a bad example.
No looking back. But yeah, that's the responses I got, which were pretty good.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys.
Mm-hmm. Always look on Instagram. I will usually always post probably a day before we record, but sometimes sooner. Look out for questions.
Let's talk news in the gaming world.
Oh yeah, we got news. So welcome back to the 3 people that are listening. Thank you for staying with us thus far. So, there was a Nintendo Direct. Did you watch?
I watched.
It was good. I wouldn't say it was my favorite Nintendo Direct. I told you afterwards there were so many like tactical and strategy RPGs. It was like not even funny how many there were. It was like, what was the other one? The farming sim, where the Nintendo Direct was just like all frickin' farming sims or like sims of other kind. It's like that, but like tactical and strategy RPGs this time.
Yeah.
So some of the games.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't. There's just so many ports, man. Everything is getting ported, and there's so few brand new games coming out. It's kind of annoying.
Well, I was having a discussion with somebody else on Instagram. It's like Nintendo knows that this is like the end of the Switch's life cycle, so I feel like they're waiting to announce whatever the next stuff is. And obviously the Zelda team's already working on the next Zelda for the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be called. The 3D Mario team are already working on the next Mario game, and they've been working on it since the other releases of their other games like 6 years ago. So I feel like they're at this point in their development where everything that they have slated is already coming out, and they're just waiting to announce the next game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So now that you mentioned that, yeah, you're right. Like, 95% of these are ports, but I'm going to read them anyway because I think they're cool. So first, we have Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I talked about it in this podcast, and it's one of those Paper Mario games that everyone loves. Except for me. I think Paper Mario 64 is better, but you know, whatevs. But it's getting a remake or remaster. Remake?
I'm going to say remaster.
It's getting a remaster and it's coming to the Switch. That's cool. Everyone's been wanting that. Well, this is a new game.
And you know what? It's like $150 on GameCube, so good for them.
Agreed.
Dropping the price on that.
For $60. It can be yours. Are you going to get it?
Did you beat that game?
I want to say yes, but I honestly don't remember.
To answer your question, no. I did like the game, though. I played it like 3 or 4 years ago. It was a good game. Very solid.
Now you got to play Paper Mario 64. That one's better.
I do indeed.
That one would be fun. The next game is a new game called Princess Peach Showtime. Got a name and a date. Woo! It was announced in the last Direct, but now it's got a name and a date. It's coming March 22nd of next year.
I feel like there's going to be like a really good pre-order bonus that sucks me into buying that day one. But as far as like being sold on the gameplay, I don't know. I'm hoping it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not too sure.
I have heard, and if this is true, this will be a day one purchase for me, that the exploration is very, very similar to the early Paper Mario games. So that means Paper Mario 64 and Thousand Year Door, which I love the worlds. I thought they were so open, so interesting to explore. So if it's anything like that, down. Totally down.
Nice.
Also, speaking of pre-orders...
I've always wanted to play Super Princess Peach. That's all I was going to say.
Oh. That's a 2D game, if I'm remembering correctly, right?
I think it is a 2D platformer.
I think
Question
so.
Mark?
I don't know, but that game looked fun. It's very cutesy, very, very peachy, you know? I was going to say, the pre-order that totally sucked me into buying a game that I'm not interested in really at all is freaking
Oh my
Super
gosh.
Mario Wonder. But
I just pre-ordered it today.
those goddamn cards at Walmart. I want the super exclusive cards.
Who doesn't, bro? I literally pre-ordered it today because I'm like, man, what if they run out of the cards and they're not giving out cards anymore? I would cry.
I didn't even hesitate. I was like, I want it. I want those cards. I need it. As soon as it went up, I was like, yep, getting that. I don't even want to play the game. I don't like 2D Mario. I've said that over and over and over again. But
Well, in case someone doesn't know what the heck we're talking about, why don't you tell them what cards you're talking about?
okay, so actually all of the pre-order locations like Walmart, Target, Best Buy, they all have cool fun pre-order things. I think I'd say that. But yeah, so it's just basically like if you're getting like a Pokemon card pack, it's like it can be random cards between super rares and foils and blah blah common cards and blah 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 blah. So when you order the game at Walmart, you get a pack of cards that may or may not have this exclusive like 1 in 1,000 or like 1,000 ever only
One
made.
in 1,000, I think.
Yeah, 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
The elephant one, right? Is that the super rare one?
I think it's Elephant Mario, yeah.
Elephant Mario. So there's a chance that you can get Elephant Mario. But there's only a chance. And all the other cards, I don't know if they're going to be sold separately like booster packs, like Pokemon cards, or not.
If I get that freaking card, I'm going to start every podcast for the rest of my life with, welcome back to the Unlockable podcast. My name's Christian, and I do own the Elephant Mario card. And this is Hannah.
Hey, that's me. And I do not own the super rare Mario Elephant card. Dude, so does that mean, that's so, it's just, but it's like gambling. It's almost like a form of gambling. Will you get it?
I noticed.
Or will you not?
I noticed that they maxed out the pre-orders to 1 per customer.
They did?
Not that I was going to buy more, but I did notice that.
Oh, dude, how much do you think this card is going to go for on eBay?
Dude, it's Mario. There's only 1,000 of them. It's crazy. It's going to go for easily $1,000.
Dang. That's crazy. I hope I get one for being like the first people to pre-order it. There was no hesitation, dude. I added it, bought it immediately. Didn't care. Ugh. I'm a sucker.
I'm excited.
I'm also excited. I think it'll be fun to play with friends, but it's not really a solo adventure, I don't think. They never
I'll
are
be
to
playing
me.
co-op.
Alright, let's see. What else we got? Splatoon 3 gets an expansion pack, and it's single-player focused, which I think a lot of people will be interested in. It's called Side Order, and it's coming spring 2024.
Yep.
Also, I think you've tried this as well. I've also tried it. F-099 is now available for Nintendo Switch subs right now.
I played it on day 1, and it was pretty darn cool. And I have not played it since.
Me too. I also thought it was pretty darn cool, and then never picked it up again. I just think Battle Royales aren't really for me.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about the extreme disappointment that Super Bomberman R2 has been for me. Which is also like a battle royale, but I just wish I could play with friends. Like, freaking Fortnite lets you play with friends. Why can't I join up on F-099 and race against my friend and 97 other people? I don't get it.
Yeah, I also don't understand why they don't do that. I don't understand why they don't do a lot of things, really. I mean, let's be honest here. How much harder would it have been to just implement that kind of system?
Minimal effort.
Anyway, another code, Recollection, a collection of both games from the Wii, are coming to the Switch. So they are point-and-click adventures. Only one of them came out in North America, and they are releasing as a bundle January 19th. These ones look really cool. These were not on my radar at all. I had no idea that they existed.
I've never heard of them, but as soon as I hear that something is exclusive to Japan and it's coming over, that's pretty freaking cool.
Just get all excited. The next thing is Luigi's Mansion 2, formerly known as Dark Moon Remaster, is now being renamed to just Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Which is weird. And it's coming summer 2024. I don't know why they dropped the Dark Moon moniker.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
It's just Luigi's Mansion 2. HD. They probably could have just not put HD at all and just said Luigi's Mansion 2 and people would be like, sick. Let's buy that. Like, I don't think...
That was a pretty fun game, but I think it'll be even better. I think the controls will be even better on console.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Let's see. The Game Boy Advance Mario vs. Donkey Kong is getting a remake. At first we thought it was a new game in the series, but it is not. It's a remake. Also,
Yep.
a Nintendo Museum is coming in Japan, which is a wild thing to include into the Direct, but you know what? That's cool. Not open yet, but...
Was that previously announced?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I saw.
Like, I have to go see that immediately. That's incredible.
I know. It is very cool. But a weird thing to include into a Direct, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, the way that they... I mean, yes, for sure. But the way that they brought it about, it was just like, hey, here's an update on this thing that we previously mentioned. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea this existed.
I didn't either, unless it was like a Twitter thing. I don't know. Also, Trombone Champ, which is the trombone game that utilizes the Joy-Con's motion controls and IR camera. You can play trombone with your friends. Be tromboning all over the place. It's awesome. I just thought that was really random. Like, of all the instruments, why a trombone? Anyway. Also, Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered releases on February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. A new RPG from Atlas and Vanillaware called Unicorn Overlord, which I just thought would have not been my title of choice. But that's coming March 8th. Also, the breakout star of that whole Direct was Dave the Diver, coming on October 26th. And a demo is available. Now, right now, you can play with Dave the Diver. You can play as, not play with. Play as Dave the Diver.
Did you say October 26th?
October 26th. Demo right now.
I'm down for the demo. That game looked good.
I agree. Go Dave. Also, the final wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass DLC adds Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and Peachette this holiday. Woo.
Who is Peachette?
She's Peachette with like Toadette-esque clothes. I don't know. I don't know where she comes from or who she is, but I know she looks like Peachette. I mean Toadette.
Interesting.
So like maybe if Princess Peach ate Toadette and then transformed into Peachette.
Ate her.
Yeah. Like you would normal mushrooms, like 1-Up mushrooms.
Okay.
Like that.
Just making sure I heard that correctly.
Oh yeah, we're eating the mushrooms here. Let's see. Tons of documents were leaked from Xbox. I don't know how, but turns out there's an Xbox Series refresh and a new controller coming out at some point. Maybe not now. A bunch of games leaked. Some include the Oblivion Remaster, Doom Year Zero and DLC, Fallout 3 Remaster, Dishonored 3, and a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, among the many other games that were leaked, along with like a release schedule that's a little bit behind because of the pandemic, I think. Oh, also, Phil Spencer wants to acquire Nintendo.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah, I know. It's not like a weird thing. I'm sure every company wants to acquire every company. But like the fact that it leaked out was just kind of weird and unfortunate for them.
Yeah, it's getting its 15 minutes of fame.
Yep. Let's see. Also, Nintendo announced new holiday Switch bundles, which wouldn't be any thing exciting except for the fact that they're literally just bundling the regular old Switch, not the first one that came out because that one's no longer being made, not the OLED, just the regular old, this battery's better than the first one, Switch is coming out. Bundled with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online. Just the base level.
The 10-year-old Mario Kart just still putting out units, man, it's crazy.
So people are thinking that Nintendo is just trying to get rid of all of their old stock of just the regular old Switch this holiday, which of course is going to sell like hotcakes, because why wouldn't it? Before they put out whatever their next console is.
Yeah.
Totally possible. Also, they announced both a pink and turquoise Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch Lite. The Switches had the nice, cool, like leafy pattern on the back in white. Comes bundled with Animal Crossing New Horizons. The pink is called Isabella's Aloha Edition, and it's a Target exclusive. Yay, exclusives. The turquoise is called Timmy and Tommy's Aloha Edition, and it's a Walmart exclusive.
Wait, these are new Switch Lite consoles?
Yeah, Animal Crossing ones.
What
Bundled,
on earth?
Yeah, bundled with the game.
Oh my gosh, I did not see this. Are you kidding me? Retailer exclusives? These are going to be so freaking rare and expensive. Oh, and they're freaking cute. Oh my gosh.
Aren't they beautiful? So you can spend...
Wow.
I actually don't know how much it is. I assume it's $260 or $250 because it comes with the game. But
yeah,
there you go. 2 more exclusives.
Wow. Yeah, these are very pretty.
Let's see. The last 2 things I have is Platinum Games co-founder and vice president Hideki Kamiya has announced that he's leaving the company in October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they just announced that literally last night on Twitter. I don't know where he's going. It seems like it may or may not be an amicable departure, but I guess we'll see. The dirt's going to come out at some point. But yeah, he's leaving on October 12th of this year.
Wow.
And then the last
interesting
bit of news is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror will be on Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack on September 29th. So probably when you're listening to this, it'll be out.
Hey. Yeah. You wrote down a lot of the stuff I wrote down. I will add to the Xbox leak and say that the Indiana Jones game, I think that has been rumored for a while, but that one was leaked, and I think that will probably be like a big AAA game that people are super going to be pumped for. Doom sequel, Doom Year Zero, sign me the F up. I freaking love the new Doom games.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, whenever Xbox launches a new console in 2028, they're basically planning to move to all digital. It's going to have a heavy focus on cloud gaming, further aiding the inevitable death of physical media. Rest in peace.
No.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, very expensive Game Boy Advance game. I don't have the NSO+++ version, but if I did, I'd play the heck out of that.
Oh man, I was about to say we could play it together. Isn't it co-op?
Is it co-op? Oh my gosh.
I don't know, but the only picture I see of it floating around is of 4 Kirbys on 1 star. So if it's not co-op, I'm going to be gobsmacked.
Dude, I think you're right. It might be a link cable co-op, and if they add online co-op to that, that would be incredible.
You better get the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Super Double Pack. God damn it.
And Knuckles.
And Knuckles. Featuring Funky Kong. Memes!
Dude, did you see this? There's an 8-bit Rugrats game coming out.
I did? Now what is that about?
It's just like, it's not a remake, it's not a port, it's a brand new game from the Rugrats, and it's going to be 8-bit coming to all modern consoles, just out of nowhere. 2D platformer, single and co-op player modes, they have bosses and secrets. You can switch to hand-drawn HD graphics if you want,
Ooh.
And each Rugrat has different abilities. Sign me the F up.
So, if you're not old as fuck like we are, Rugrats is a show about babies. For babies. So yes, that is very strange.
It's very strange. Rugrats weren't around during 8-bit, like, NES console era. Like, it's interesting. Well, no, I think Rugrats is older than I think it is. I think that show's like 91.
Yeah, it's definitely in the 90s. If anything, it would have been like a Super Nintendo / Nintendo 64 era. Because I watched it growing up. And I was born in 97.
I did too. It was 91.
Damn.
But they also have a new show like on Hulu or something. I don't know.
Oh, did they? Oh, no. Did they redo it? Is this a reboot? Did they reboot Rugrats?
I think they rebooted it for sure. And I
No.
think all the original cast is back.
Well, that's nice, I guess. But what the oh. Dude, when they...
There are no original ideas in 2023. We just port, we remake, we remaster everything.
Dude, when they when they remade Magic School Bus a couple years ago, that shit was so awful. So bad.
I did not hear about that.
It's been a while. It's probably been like 6 or 7 years. But I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Same thing with Powerpuff Girls. They redid that not that long ago. Garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Straight garbage.
I hear nothing good about Teen Titans.
Ugh, Teen Titans Go? Garbage.
Yeah.
It's fucking garbage. Sucks. And I love Teen Titans.
Yeah, I could go on and on.
Yeah. But this is a podcast about video games. What are you talking about shows for?
Been buying, Hannah. I'm excited. You know what? My list is going to be short. Let me knock these out. You've been buying all sorts of games from across the world out here. I bought this game, Super Bomberman R2. I'm currently selling it if anyone's interested.
I heard you loved it.
I bought Castlevania Chronicles. Dude, big one for me. Castlevania Chronicles, collecting gold checked off. This is like a $100 game, 100 plus. I got it for $90.
Bargain.
And I can't wait to freaking play it.
What is that on?
PS1.
Nice. Very nice.
Extreme G, a N64 racing game. I got that one CIB.
Wow.
And that's it, Hannah. That's all I'm going to mention.
Dude.
And you're up.
That's it? Okay,
Everything else is garbage.
Let me get my long list out here. So I said I already pre-ordered the Super Mario Wonder game to get that stupid freaking elephant. That's on there. Also, Dragon Quest Treasures, which I've talked about so many times. I finally got a good deal on it. It was like $22. So I was like, yep, gotta get that. That's the Dragon Quest spin-off game. I love those. It's not anything like Dragon Quest Builders. I think it's more like RPG-esque, but still not super... I want to say other Dragon Quest games are strategy or turn-based, I think, which is not my jam. I don't think this one's that. Then you recommended I get Taito Milestones 1 because it was like $9. Ooh. So I bought that. Then I also bought Mario Party Superstars because I've been playing since I'm back living with my parents in my hometown, like 20 minutes from my best friends. So we've been playing a lot of multiplayer games. So I bought that so we could play together because the other Mario Party...
Which one?
Wasn't doing it. Superstars.
Oh.
So the good one.
Gotcha.
Then I also bought Dokapon Kingdom, which is another kind of Mario Party-esque game. Came out of the Wii forever ago. I think it's pretty expensive, if I remember, on the Wii, and it just came to the Switch.
Yeah.
Then I also got...
You haven't played it yet?
No, not yet. I have not
I want to play that game someday.
I'm very excited. I don't know if it has online multiplayer or not. I'm not sure. And then, let's see, I also bought... This is a banger. Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy Double Pack. Oh, I'll talk about that in the Been Playing, but that's fantastic. Also, Lovers in the Dangerous Space Time. That one, I think, was published by Super Rare Games back in the day, but I think that since it was selling so well, they decided to give the rights back to the original developers, and they released it again. So I got that on Amazon. Then the Baten Kaitos, or Baten Kaitos, whatever you want to say, collection just released. I bought mine from Play Asia because there's not a physical edition coming to North America as of right now, and I had to play it because I want to play it, because I don't want to spend $200 on Baten Kaitos Origins, but I want to play that one first before the other one. So I bought that. It is en route. Super excited to play that one. And then I also bought the Tears of the Kingdom amiibo, the Mia and Noah from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 amiibo, and the Splatoon 3 amiibo. So my wallet be hurting.
Wow.
It be hurting.
Heck yeah.
Whew.
Heck yeah. I feel like I had a lot to say about a lot of things. Didn't want to cut you off, and now I don't remember what those things were.
Ooh.
Dokapon Kingdom. That game looks like a blast. Oh, Mario Party Superstars. Have you played it yet?
Not yet. Why? Tell me it's the best game ever.
It's a major step up over that garbage we got earlier on Switch, but I don't know. There's just a lot of really cool features, and I'm excited to talk about them with you whenever the time comes.
Do you have it? Have you played it?
Yeah, I got it like this year or something. It's a good time.
Is it online or not?
I think it might be online, yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be pretty fun.
Although, I don't know how fun it is with 2 people, but I don't know if you can fill in the spots with online people or not.
I don't know. I did not know Batten Kaitos came out. Also, that game has dropped dramatically in price.
What?
I was just looking at this like a week ago, and since the announcement, it has gone down quite a bit.
Really?
I mean, it's not cheap by any means, but it's more affordable than it was.
Even Origins? Because we remember when we went to...
Yeah, I'm talking about Origins.
Oh yeah, half price books, double price games. And we was like fucking... I was like, oh my god, if I see this, I'm going to buy it. And then it was $400. It's like, no way.
Goodness.
Do you remember that?
I do.
It's like, nah, for $400, I ain't purchasing it. Dang it. Well, it was only $49, I think, plus $5 shipping, so it's not a bad deal.
That's freaking awesome, though. Yeah. Good stuff. A lot of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Ouchie, lots of stuff.
Making up for the last year's worth.
Heck yeah, I don't know why my brain was like, yeah, I'm in my parents' house, buy everything.
Been playing. I just beat Yoshi Topsy Turvy, Game Boy Advance game.
Nice.
It is a GBA game that has a gyro sensor in the cartridge. And so you control Yoshi moving left and right, but you have to tilt the world around you. And it's not great. The controls are a little rough. And I wouldn't recommend it. But I beat it because I like punishment.
It's just a precursor to all the fun motion control things that Nintendo was going to do down in the future. And look, here we are.
I beat Castlevania. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Dracula
good, huh?
X.
Ah.
Super Nintendo game. My 13th Castlevania because I am incredible.
Goodness. That's crazy.
And last weekend, I started playing the new Pokemon DLC, which just came out.
Ooh, fun. Is it good? Would you recommend?
It's fun. I need to see if it's going to be, like, super short. Like, so far, I'm not recommending it for $35. But I'm enjoying it. And I'll update y'all next month.
Please do. Sounds exciting.
What are you planning to play for spooky season, Hannah?
Spooky season? Absolutely nothing to do with zombies jumping out at me or chasing me. Probably nothing, because I'm not really a spooky gal. But
all right.
Yeah, you know what I've been playing now?
Harvestella.
Yes, dude. Oh, it is so good.
Tell me.
It's so good. So I don't really like... Well, I have not had that much experience beside Animal Crossing with, like, simulation games. I know Animal Crossing is not really, like, a farming sim or anything like that. It's kind of just, like, a life sim. So I have very limited experience with said genre. But this game is kind of, like, farming sim plus RPG, like, light. Like, it doesn't go too hard into the RPG mechanics that it totally could. Like, it's not nearly on the level of, like, Final Fantasy or, like, Xenoblade Chronicles or any of those kinds of games, RPGs. And it's also not, like, super in-depth, like, farming and life sim, like Animal Crossing or, like, Harvest Moon or Story Seasons. It's, like, the perfect combination of someone who just likes a little bit of those elements together. That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. So, basically, you have, like, this little area, and you can have a farm, and there's different seasons, so there's different things that grow in different seasons that kind of roll across. And then you can also have like little chicken creatures and little like goat creatures, and they give you eggs and like milk and stuff. And then you can use those ingredients to make like jams, or like milk, or like the milk to cheese, or like spices, or like certain things into spices or stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of stuff, but it's not like super in depth. But then if you don't want to do that, or go like fishing or whatever, if you want to do that, then you can go out and explore the world, which of course gives you this super in-depth and really cool sci-fi like story that I was not expecting. And then you have different partners, groups of 3, like most RPGs have. They have different abilities, and when they are equipped to you, they give you certain abilities, stuff like that. But the cool thing about this is that time and like stamina in like your, I don't want to say stomach context, but that sounds gross, but like that's how like the main game is kind of driven. So time, you have a specific amount of time that you can go out during the day. So you wake up at like 6 a.m. or whatever, and you have to be back by midnight. Or like if you die, like whatever, you just have to be out at that specific time. So you can go explore the world, you can go fishing, go farming, but every second is like a minute in the game, and so it passes like that. And then stamina, also, if your stomach isn't full, or at least have 1% in it, then you lose your stamina, and it doesn't come back. So if you eat food, and your stomach is full, then your stamina will gradually come back. So it's just a lot of things to kind of juggle, but none of it's like super difficult or complicated, which I really enjoy. And I'm having so much fun. I think I've put 40 hours in.
Dude, it sounds incredibly unique.
I love it. It was not at all what I was expecting, but I'm like thoroughly surprised.
That's freaking awesome. Especially, always feels good to gift someone a game that they actually like. Right?
I have not yet gotten you a gift that you like yet, but one of these days I will get you a game that you actually enjoy.
Oh my gosh.
One of these days. I'll live up to that. Let's see.
You're stupid.
I played Tears of the Kingdom, of course. I plugged that in a couple times if I just want to relax, explore something cool. Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, which I told you I just bought. I played it with my friend, couch co-op. It is hella intense. It's like a shooter game. You're like kind of protecting your little spaceship guy as you're floating through space. You shoot enemies, all that kinds of fun stuff. It was not what I was expecting. It's very intense and it's very fun, but it's also very difficult, especially when you're playing it with someone who's like not a super gamer, but like did it because I wanted to play it. It's fun if you like the kind of stuff. Also, sleeper hit.
I might have to try that.
It's good. It's very fun. Kiwi. Have you ever heard of a game called Kiwi?
The Wii game, yeah.
Oh, well, it came out on the Switch as well. And I bought it. It was like $7. I can't remember where. Probably clearance at Target or whatever. So I bought it because I knew it was co-op.
I'm sorry. That's Ivy the Kiwi. That's not the same thing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not that. It's Kewwe. Kiwi.
Okay.
And it's kind of like an Overcooked situation and like a moving out situation where you're being timed and you have to complete these tasks, but you're like these cute little kiwi birds, and they're working like a kind of like a post office. So you have to like translate Morse code or like pick these messages together, but you have to like find the words all over the place. And then sometimes there's flies that infiltrate whatever you're doing. You have to hit these certain buttons, stamp packages with the correct location. But it's like that. It's like a post office. You're maneuvering a post office. It is very fun.
It's another multiplayer game?
It is, but I believe it's only 2-player.
Dang.
It's fun.
I need to write these down.
Yeah, you do. And then the final one is Jeopardy. Me and my best friend, fucking love Jeopardy. We will watch Jeopardy. Comes on 7:30. And I have a huge like tabulated list on my phone of like all the scores that we've gotten accumulated over time. Love Jeopardy, right? So I was like, okay. We bought Family Feud not that long ago. Played that one. I think I talked about that last episode. It was pretty good. Pretty comprehensive. Ubisoft did a great game. Great job. So I was like, okay, let's get the Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune double pack. And we'll play Jeopardy. And it was super fun. Man, if you're a fan of Jeopardy, you will like that game.
Dude, that's the kind of crap I would pass up any day at the store, but I don't even doubt it for a second that it's a freaking blast.
Like, I don't know if you've watched normal Jeopardy, but, like,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen episodes here and there.
you ask a question and then you have to answer said question, but you answer it from, like, your head. But this one gives you a bank of questions, or, like, a bank of answers. It's 3 choices, so it is a little bit easier. But still, some of the questions are, like, very difficult. Like, I don't, like, they're pulling all these facts from all their place, as they do with Jeopardy. But it's still fun, even though it gives you a multiple choice.
Nice.
And you can also play online. And me and my friend are like, okay, let's play.
Wow.
Let's play with a random person. And so it was taking, like, more than 30 seconds to fill a spot, which you're like, you know, sometimes that happens. So then we left, got food, came back, and that spot still wasn't filled. So literally nobody's out there playing Jeopardy. Which was sad.
Wow, they're paying for a server for that to exist somewhere.
Which was sad, but it's fine because you can play with a computer and you can set their level. But it was just, I thought maybe somebody out there was trying to play Jeopardy. Nope.
Dude, you know what just came out? This just hit me. Moving Out 2 is out now.
And it's $10 more expensive on the Switch than the other consoles.
What?
It's $45 on the Switch.
I don't understand.
I also don't understand.
It says $30 on Xbox right now. What the heck?
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I want to play it, but not for $45. I will wait.
Oh, and it has online. No, that's a local game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. But I did know about that. I was just been waiting for the price to drop because that's freaking crazy.
Well, you know, it won't be long with that game.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think I bought the first one for like $15. And I just had no idea about it. I just bought it. Just on a whim.
And it sounds like you've got plenty to tide you over until that price drop.
Definitely. Oh, you know what's kind of interesting about the Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune double pack? Is when you plug the game in, 2 separate icons come up. Like 2 separate apps for each game.
Oh.
So it's not like one menu where you could just pick one or the other. 2 pop up. I was like, I did not know.
On the Switch home menu?
Yeah, I did not know it could do that.
I have a Sonic game double pack that does the same thing.
Oh, see, I've not experienced that with a double pack before. It's interesting.
Hannah, let's wrap up this 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, please. My butt is so numb right now. It's not even funny.
Where in God's name can people find you on the internet?
Game Girl Advance SP on Instagram.
If you have put yourself through 3+ hours of us talking, thank you. And I'm not going to ask anything else of you. If you don't want to like the podcast at this point, you've earned that.
I agree.
Thank you guys for listening. And we will be back in October to talk about games that we want risen from the dead.
Yeah. Spooky theme.
Woo. And we'll try to keep it under 3 hours. Who knows?
See ya.